Welcome, family. Thank you for waiting patiently waiting. This is Brother Ron, also known as R2C2H2, the artivist. Hope you can understand and hear the words coming out of my mouth. And this is We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century. That's News Free Dixie for the 21st century. Let me just check the ones and twos. News Free Dixie for the 21st century. That's News Free Dixie for the 21st century. Let me just check the ones and twos. Okay. Y'all can hear me just fine. I think y'all can hear me just fine. So I just want to make sure I do this, man. So much stuff happening right now in the world today. And I just want to make sure I do this tribute because, like I said, the ancestors, they talk to me all the time. I mean, people think that's weird or whatever. Some of y'all don't think that's weird because, I think nobody really dies. Energy can't be killed. And the thing about it is that when you open yourself to be more accessible to the universe, soul, God, and other things come to you more easily that other folks might dismiss or neglect. So, yeah. So, no, a lot of history, a lot of anniversaries and all that stuff. So, I know March 25th. I want to make sure I do this or start this on March 25th. This go on maybe 2 hours. Easily 3 these days, the way I be talking. But as y'all should know, if you are aware of Black history, if you know that Black women are extraordinary, March 25th is a special date. It's the 90th anniversary of the homegoing of the righteous ancestor Ida B. Wells Barnett. And also it's the 79th anniversary of the debut of the one and only Queen Aretha Franklin, Riri, the true queen of soul, arguably the greatest singer that America has ever produced, arguably. A voice like no other. And so, I mean, same with Ida B. She had a voice like no other. So let me just read what I wrote, a quick tribute, then we'll get into the show and talk about some things. This is like really a freestyle of more things. Like, never forget that March 25th, 2021 marks the anniversaries that the great Ida B. Wells Barnett made her grand departure 90 years ago, and the great Aretha Franklin made her grand arrival 79 years ago. Baba Dick Gregory always said that two of the most powerful forces in American history is the Black woman and the Black church. Both amazing women were Black church connected, as well as Memphis and Mississippi Delta rooted, man. There must be something in the water. See how it works? Somewhere. That's me giving tribute to Black queens, righteous ancestors, and I always say their names. So we're going to be talking a little bit about Ida B. Wells and Miss Aretha Franklin on this installment of We All Be, of the Artivist Thinks, Thought Provocateur. I think it's very important that we honor our people, that we continue to say their names so they, so other folks can be aware that these amazing people came before. So thank y'all for tuning in. I know it's late, but I want to make sure I mark this and get it on the 25th. Like, we love you madly. Thank you for receiving the work, James Leal. We love you madly. Thank y'all. True fans here. Y'all some troopers, huh? Appreciate the love. All right. Thank y'all for rocking it with me tonight. So much going on. And it's a lot to talk about. I was gonna make this a freestyle show, and I guess it is a freestyle show. But let me see. I got a couple of shows lined up for you all in the very near future. I've been gone live recently since last Friday, which is because I've been working on researching and some other things going on as well. So I got a lot of great shows, but I said let me do this show right now. Because I'm actually working on a show about the Negro Leagues. Got a great, interesting email at the last Friday show about Lloyd Gaines. Somebody, challenged me on my assessment of the Negro Leagues being more successful than the major leagues. So he brought up Baba Dick Gregory name as well too, and it reminds me of what Baba Dick would always say: "My truth does not need to be validated by your ignorance." So I just thought this would be a great teaching moment, with baseball season, I guess, coming up, to talk about Negro League baseball and some hidden information there's not always people are aware of. Like I said, sometimes a lot of things get hidden in plain sight, like because we don't got the discernment, we lost our intuition, our relationship with ourselves, so we're not really as self-aware as we should be as a people, let alone as individuals. But I'm gonna read what this brother said in the email, and we're gonna do a show about the Negro League baseball as well as some other stuff connected to Negro League baseball. That's gonna be very interesting. I think a lot of y'all gonna like it. And if y'all don't like it, y'all can unsubscribe and keep it moving and no hard feelings. But here's what the brother said. He said, "Dear Brother Ron, greetings. I admire your work, but what you keep saying about the Negro Leagues being more successful than the majors is simply incorrect. I know that Bobby Gregory used to say this as well. Please correct your information by reading Negro League Baseball, The Rise and Ruin of a Black Institution, University of Pennsylvania Press, 2004. That's when, it's published by them, came out 2004. Guy name is Neil Lanstott or Lancott or Lantot. I don't, you know how these names be. It is the most detailed study of the Negro Leagues. They were usually mismanaged and could barely afford to keep accurate records. Keep up the good work. You are a gem and fountain of knowledge, Brother Ron." Interesting, right? So he told me I didn't know what I was talking about, but see, I'm a gem and fountain of knowledge. So here's this thing. Here, I'm going to break it down. This is why it's important to do research. I'm not the oracle. I'm a human being. I make mistakes. Hell, I mispronounce names or, get dates off, but it is what it is. But the thing about it is, what he said in that paragraph, what he wrote me, does not disprove what I said about the Negro Leagues being more successful than the major leagues. See, the thing, keyword, he said mismanagement and poor record keeping. So you didn't disprove what I said, about the Negro Leagues. Matter of fact, they were more successful in terms of this attendance. You got people like Ty Cobb. Now I'm going to talk about it more in the Negro Leagues program. But Ty Cobb, he admired the black players of the Negro League. I say you, Babe Ruth said the greatest baseball player was a black man in the Negro Leagues named John Henry Pop Lloyd. Some of the greatest baseball teams of all time were black teams from the Negro Leagues, like the Pittsburgh Crawfords, right? Or like even the Pittsburgh, the Homesteaders, right? The Grays, the Homestead Grays. That's Cumberland Posey. That's his team. And Cumberland Posey was a phenomenal athlete. This guy who owned the Grays, he was one of the greatest basketball players of the early 20th century. It's a black dude from Pittsburgh, came from a very affluent black family. So there's a lot of history to the Negro Leagues that we don't know, but what he said was mismanagement of money and poor record keeping. Okay, you have not proved to me that the Negro Leagues was not making as much money, if not more, than the major leagues. You haven't proved that by what you said. You said it's poor record keeping and mismanagement, and that happens. And the players were not paid a lot of times the way they should have been paid, and there were also several different versions of the Negro Leagues, some going on at the same time. So we don't have just one Negro Leagues. You got different versions of the Negro Leagues going on at the same time. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more, about the history of black folks in baseball. And y'all going to learn something. I promise y'all going to learn something interesting things, because we just lost Hank Aaron, right? Hank Aaron started in the Negro Leagues. Willie Mays started in the Negro Leagues. We recently lost Ernie Banks, Mr. Cub. He started in the Negro Leagues, right? Roy Campanella, arguably the greatest hit and catch of all time, started in the Negro Leagues. Don Newcomb, who was his teammate, along with Jackie Robinson teammate. He's a pitcher. He actually became the first pitcher, I believe, to win the Cy Young, the MVP, and Rookie of the Year honors. This is Don Newcomb. We just lost him recently. So you got a lot of the greatest baseball players that the Major League Baseball recognized that played a significant career in Major League Baseball. They got their start in the Negro Leagues. And what happened is, the Negro Leagues were never compensated by Major League Baseball for stealing their talent. They were never properly compensated. Now, even some people suggest that maybe you could have took the best Negro League baseball teams and integrated into the Major Leagues. You could have took the best baseball teams in the Negro Leagues and put them in the Major Leagues. But no. And I remember I talked to Al Capone's great niece. I interviewed her some years ago. I mean, several years ago, right? Yeah, it's been some years, almost, man, been a while. But she claimed that Al Capone was interested in buying the Chicago Cubs and putting some of the best Negro League stars on the Chicago Cubs. Al Capone had an interest, because people forget Al Capone was like also the patron saint of the black musician in Chicago. A lot of the clubs that these black musicians played in belonged to Al Capone, and he paid them well. He even had a cotton club out in Cicero, Illinois, which is a sundown town. But his favorite band leader was a black dude named Walter Barnes. And we talked about Walter Barnes before. You know, Al Capone helped integrate Chicago radio by helping Walter Barnes get on the radio. Al Capone used to call Walter Barnes little brother. Say, little brother, what's wrong, huh? What's going on, little brother? What's wrong? Why you said little brother? Say, Al, they won't let me on the air. They won't let me on the radio. Okay, now I'm making my offer they can't refuse, huh? So Al Capone did that. He was the patron saint of the black musician in Chicago. You can look up this stuff up, but his great niece claimed that he was trying to buy the Chicago Cubs and put the best Negro League baseball players on the Chicago Cubs, right? You got a situation with John McGraw, the famous manager of the New York Giants. You know, he had Christy Mathewson, some of the greatest baseball talent. And they said when he died, they found a list on his person for some of the black baseball players that he wanted to sign, but because of this color line thing, he couldn't sign them, or he was afraid to challenge the institution of Major League Baseball in signing these players. So it don't really, he wrote that, and baseball is weird because baseball will write the lie and make it true. Baseball, baseball Hall of Fame is in Cooperstown, right? They said Attn Doubleday invented baseball. Now we know that's a lie. Baseball spend money trying to find out its origins, and they try to credit Attn Doubleday with inventing baseball, and he did not invent baseball. So we'll touch a little bit on those things in a Negro League show, right? But look, remember TLC? TLC, the girl group from the 90s, Left Eye, Chili, and T-Bars. They sold a whole bunch of albums and records and all that, right? They one of the greatest best-selling girl groups of all time. But they were broke. They were very successful in terms of selling their music, but they didn't have any money. They were broke. Toni Braxton, first lady of LaFace, she was broke. This happens, and don't confuse financial success with popularity. Or you talk about, like somebody wrote in the comments of the last segment in the Lloyd Gang show, right? Somebody said about the movie number 42, which I saw when it first came out. I enjoyed it. That they was throwing shade at the Negro Leagues because they didn't pay the players a lot of money per se or whatever. Doesn't mean they was not making a lot of money. It doesn't mean they were not paying their talent the way they should have been paying them. Like, as much as I love Jimmy Lunsford, he's one of my music heroes. He was notorious for being cheap in paying his band members. Like, he was not paying them what they were worth in terms of these guys. A lot of them guys in Jimmy Lunsford band started out with him in high school. They was in his high school band, and they stayed with him for like a decade or more. And they were not getting paid. No, they were still kind of like, he was like very paternal towards them, like a father figure. So he didn't pay them like they should have been paid as men, being with him for that long. You understand? So they had to leave. A lot of them guys had to leave and find work at different places. Like, you got example, Cy Oliver. For example, Cy Oliver, one of the top arrangers in jazz and swing jazz back in the 30s and 40s. He started with Jimmy Lunsford, but he left for greener pastures because he had one of the Dorsey brothers, I believe it was Tommy Dorsey. They paid him $5,000 a year back in Great Depression era. He was getting paid $5,000 a year by a white band, a very popular white band. And the thing about it, Jimmy Lunsford was the most popular band for black people, for black Americans in the 30s and 40s. He was the top band. He was the top attraction. The Jimmy Lunsford Orchestra was the top attraction at the Apollo Theater for a whole decade, but he was not paying his people what they were worth. I mean, you can find newspaper articles from back in the day. They talk about, Jimmy, he got him a new plane, because Jimmy used to fly to his gig sometime in his plane that he owned. He brought his first plane in 1940 for what would be the equivalency of almost $500,000. This is during the Great Depression. This type of money he was making. But because we don't tell our story and we let white folks in Hollywood dictate our story and regurgitate to us what we thought we knew, but we forgot that we knew. This is where we talk about where we want to discredit our own people's work. The Negro Leagues was one of the most important institutions Black folks ever created in this country in terms of Black empowerment and Black self-determination. Like, I know the Memphis Red Sox was a Negro Leagues team in Memphis. The great country singer Charlie Pride, who just passed away, he used to play on the Memphis Red Sox. I believe he was a pitcher for the Memphis Red Sox. But the thing about it is, it was owned originally, I guess you could say originally, by R.S. Lewis. R.S. Lewis was a funeral home director, very prosperous funeral home director. Matter of fact, it was his funeral home, R.S. Lewis and Sons, that actually prepared the body of Dr. King. They did a great job in preparing Dr. King's body for burial for his funeral down in Atlanta, but they actually did the work on Dr. King's body. But he owned the Memphis Red Sox, and he built a stadium called Lewis Stadium, one of the first Black-owned stadiums in the country. Now, I know a lot of people give credit to Gus Greenlee out in Pittsburgh, the owner of the fantastic Pittsburgh Crawfords, one of the greatest baseball teams of all time. But I think R.S. Lewis already had a stadium built in Memphis back in the 20s. Then they sold the team to the Martin brothers. This is a family full of Black doctors. All the brothers were doctors, and they owned the Memphis Red Sox. And I guess they called it the Lewis Stadium. They finally called it the Martin Stadium. No longer exists. But one of the Martin brothers ended up being the president of the Negro League. The Negro Leagues. But like I was telling y'all, there was more than one version of the Negro Leagues. And I'll talk about that in the upcoming show. But let's talk about, it's after midnight now, but at least I started the show on March the 25th. I appreciate it. I aim to please. We love you madly. Yeah, it's time to build, man. We got to be the architects of our destiny. And a lot of times I don't do all the shows I want to do. I try to do this research and put it all together. Yeah, I love. Hey, bro, Dominique. I know everybody been busy. Everybody been going live from yesterday. I saw all these shows go live. I guess great minds think alike. So thank y'all for tuning in. But we're going to talk about Queen Aretha and Queen Ida B. Let me see. Thank you, brother Ronaldo. We love you madly for your donation. But I know people have been complaining about the docu-series or docudrama limited series on National Geographic about Aretha Franklin, starring the lead Nigerian Cynthia Nrivu or something like that. And I know people complain about her being designated as Aretha. I know Aretha's family has complained about her being cast. And I know about her history of saying disparaging things about African Americans or foundational Black Americans, ADOS, whatever we want to call us, Native Americans, of her saying things about us and our culture. And I know she played Harriet, and it's kind of weird, But anyway, I have been checking out the Genius series. I guess it's a series. Aretha is it's the third season of that, that show run. And I'm actually looking at the second season. The first season was Albert Einstein. And the second season was Picasso. And I'm loving the Picasso National Geographic Genius season. That was season 2. And I think Antonio Banderas was born to play Picasso. God damn it. He just got that piece of Spaniard like Picasso was. And you should check it out. I think it's what I've seen. I only saw the first episode of season 2 for Picasso. It's pretty well done. They put some money behind it. I have yet to see, the Aretha Franklin one with Cynthia. But I heard some good things about it. I heard that Courtney B. Vance, who was a great talent, he's very he's not as respected as he should be. Courtney B. Vance, I remember how he played Johnny Cochran. I thought he gonna win an Emmy for Johnny Cochran in that People versus O.J. Simpson stuff. That mess. He was probably the greatest thing about that whole mess. And I bet Cuba Gooding Jr. right now wish he was OJ, wish he was free like OJ all day. You know what I'm saying? OJ living it up. Yours truly on Twitter. I love OJ stuff. But the Picasso thing, it's like it's very well done, high production value. Have yet to look at the Aretha season with Cynthia, but I heard Courtney B. Vance was doing his thing as usual, unsung wise. And I know Aretha family has complained about her being cast. And I think the problem with Cynthia is really because the way she talked bad about Black people on Twitter, on social media. I mean, Black Americans. And Daniel Kaluuya, I already said some things in the past, but Daniel Kaluuya, like he learned his lesson and he got along with the program and people embraced him. This is the guy who played Fred Hampton in the Judas and the Black Messiah. But the thing about it is Aretha never got the respect that she deserved. People embrace her now, right? People talking about Beyonce winning 28 Grammys, and I think Aretha got 18. And it's weird. Aretha never got the respect that she should have got. Same thing with A.L.L, in terms of her talent. And thinking about the Grammys, and people talk about celebrity activism, woke activism, and Tamika Mallory doing a thing with little baby, and Tamir Rice's mother speaking out. And I was thinking to myself, so you know what? Aretha Franklin spoke out in support and solidarity with Angela Davis. Would they have allowed Aretha Franklin to use the Grammy as a platform for Black liberation, for Black solidarity? I remember thinking about this week about Fannie Lou Hamer. She passed away on March the 14th, about 44 years ago, back in 1977. And when she was speaking before or testifying before the Credentials Committee on TV at the 1964 Democratic National Convention in Atlantic City, she was testifying before the Credentials Committee to try to get the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party seated as the delegation, as the official delegation from Mississippi. When she was speaking her truths about her being terrorized, about Black folks being terrorized and catching hell down in Mississippi, Lyndon B. Johnson, who was the president at the time, interrupted her testimony to do a press conference like Joe Biden about nothing. So Joe Biden did not invent that press conference about nothing. His predecessor, another Democrat, Lyndon B. Johnson, perfected the art of doing press conferences about nothing to distract, deflect, all that stuff. So there's nothing new. So I don't think that the Grammys would let somebody like a Fannie Lou Hamer speak truth to power on their platform. And you got to look at, if you think about that, I'm thinking about Ida B. Wells. Like I said, she passed away 90 years ago on March 25th. Ida B. Wells owned and operated her own newspaper, the Free Speech and Headlight, in Memphis. And when she started telling the truth about what was really going on with the lynchings, they ran her out the town, let alone out the South. They ran. Ida B. Wells was a short woman. She about 5 feet, 5'2", whatever like that. But she packed guns. She was a pistol packing mama. She always carried guns on her person because she said, if I gotta go, I'm taking some with me. Because if there's a hell below, we all got to go. As my cousin Curtis Mayfield, to paraphrase what he said. But would she have been allowed primetime platform at the Grammys to speak these truths about what's going on with the disenfranchisement and the state-sponsored terrorism against Black people? So who's the agent? Well, they had given Malcolm X that platform to speak how Malcolm spoke in his time. And the way Malcolm spoke in his time, it still scares a lot of our people today. So I don't think people really understand what activism really is. If a system does not respect your humanity, they will never give you something that will allow you to empower yourself as well as other people. Once again, if a system does not respect your full humanity, it will never give you a platform to truly empower, to liberate and inspire people that look like you or come from you. Coming from where you from. All right. So nah, people were saying that Tamir Rice's mom is an agent or she's being used. She's MK Ultra Manchurian candidate. No, what she said is not what she said, it's how she said it, right? Because Tamika, I mean, she's very media savvy. She's very articulate, clean, and crisp. You know how Joe Biden talked about Obama? He's articulate, clean, and crisp and clear. I mean, Tamika's good. She's media savvy. She was trained by Al Sharpton, who's media savvy. You know how to spin things. Not saying nothing against Tamika or none of that, but I don't know how if any of this like going out on the Grammys is really going to free Black people. Just like a lot of us think that looking at a movie is going to liberate us. Movies are not meant to liberate. Movies are meant to entertain. Yeah, Barry Gordy, interesting. But also, he did that character assassination on Billie Holiday with Lady Sings the Blues. But her husband, the last one that was portrayed in that Lee Daniels biopic, he was a consultant on the movie Lady Sings the Blues. And it brings me like we should never be going to Hollywood movies to get our history lessons. We should use it as maybe inspiration or as a motivation to do our own research. It's just like right now, we don't need any talking heads or gurus. You need to learn who you are. Right now, this is a test of intuition and of trusting yourself. And if you don't trust yourself right now in 2021, you are in trouble because everybody and things that have been done are being done right now to that been done ever since we've been born and before we've been born to social engineer us. Because we are all potential Manchurian candidates. Because there are certain words that could trigger a lot of us. Like, some of y'all got that Trump derangement syndrome. Something about Trump, y'all just go crazy when somebody talk about Trump or mention Trump or try to be logical towards this Trump thing. And, that means that if you could be easily triggered like that, that means you could be easily controlled as well. So you got a lot of people doing things that might not be in their best interest right now because they've been programmed. A lot of groupthink going on, a lot of bullying. Big tech is bullying a lot of people. Big pharma, big bank, big gov. A lot of these people are just bullies. So I mean, I think it's weird that you got these so-called authoritative figures or authority figures talking about they're against bullying, but they're the biggest bullies on the block because they're trying to force feed us this whatever. And a lot of us are going for the okie doke. And I have lost a lot of people from last year going into this year because of the fear that's going on. The fear mongering. Fear is a hell of a drug, right? So, think about, people say they love Ida B. Wells, right? She's an inspirational woman, inspirational Black woman. Where is the Ida B. Wells biopic or biopic? People say biopic, some people say biopic, and they're both right? Where is the movie about Ida B. Wells? Amazing Life. New York Times recently did an obituary. I think they did it in the last couple of years, Our Bed, because they did not give her one after she died immediately back in 1931. She was not considered important enough by the New York Times to be given an obituary. Because when you get an obituary by the New York Times, that means you made it. You can't enjoy it because you dead. That means you made it. That means the New York Times give you an obituary in their paper. That means you were somebody important. But when Ida B. Wells passed away back in March 31, there was no such obituary. And she recently just won a Pulitzer posthumously for her work that got her driven out the South and made her an enemy of the state. So, where's the biopic about her? Where's the biopic? And I think, and also since I'm doing a little bit of freestyle, I recently saw Antebellum with Janelle Monáe, and it was not as bad as I thought. It could have been better. Um, it was not that bad. It was not that bad to me. But the thing about it is with movies now, and I'm gonna give y'all a little tip. Don't have any expectations. With the way they make movies now, it's hard for them to make a real classic movie because a lot of them don't know how to tell stories. The art of storytelling has gone by the wayside. I don't know what it is. People just don't know how to tell stories like they used to be able to tell stories. If you look at the, I guess the golden era of Hollywood, a lot of times people think it's like, look at the 70s. A lot of great directors doing phenomenal. You had, Scorsese, Francis Ford Coppola, Spielberg, Lucas. And also you had blaxploitation movies that were done well. I know people got this thing about the term blaxploitation, but you had a lot of them that were done pretty well. Matter of fact, so-called blaxploitation movies saved Hollywood from self-destruction. And that needs to be more talked about as well. How Hollywood, you talk about how Judge Joe Brown said they were using the profits from his show to save their studios and they networks and stuff, and not give him his proper share to this day. And we're gonna have Judge on in the very near future, but movies are not told that well. They're not done well. They are not done that well right now. Cause you even look at, I like gangster movies. When the last great classic gangster movie that was done? I mean, in recent memory, ain't you said about the Irishman? That was not well done, even though it was a lot of money. I mean, for as far as Martin Scorsese, I'll give it like a B minus or a C plus because you have a budget. He has a $20 million plus budget, but yet if you can make De Niro and Pacino and Pesci look years younger, but you can't get your facts right about when folks got whacked, and then not even try to cast people that look like the actual people that you are portraying in the movie. Al Pacino, at this point, Al Pacino and Robert De Niro, they just really just playing themselves. They're not really acting. They have been acting for so long. They're a parody of themselves. Like they don't really get it. Because even when the Al Pacino, he'll go in and out of his accent of his character with Jimmy Hoffa. And I think thought I was kept on comparing him to Jack Nicholson's version of Jimmy Hoffa. And I think Jack did a great job. If you think about it in his portrayal, but I think who he did a great job too that people don't think about is Robert Blake, Beretta, who allegedly got his wife, whatever, killed at that restaurant. He went back into the restaurant to get his gun. She got killed. That Beretta. Robert Blake did a great job playing Jimmy Hoffa for a TV movie. Like Hoffa versus Robert Kennedy or something like that. But yeah, I can't even really name. Okay. I was thinking about this, maybe Paid in Full. The Rockefeller Dame Dash thing. That was actually good. Paid in Full. And that came out, about 18 years ago or 19 years ago? It's crazy how time is flying. But, there's not too many movies out here. And it's all about superhero stuff. And for the majority, a lot of them, superhero stuff ain't all that. You know what I'm saying? But it's like I don't know. I don't know what's going on right now. But we're going to have to need a renaissance in the very near future. But Aretha Franklin, there's a movie coming out with Jennifer Hudson playing Aretha. That should be interesting. I mean, Jennifer is more close to home than Cynthia is. And also, you can tell J Hud don't have the disdain for Black American culture because she's a product of Black American culture. And I think Cynthia did herself a disservice by showing her disdain for Black Americans. I remember going to the lynching memorial down in Montgomery, the Equal Justice Initiative, their lynching memorial. And I met a brother who was the first generation Ghanaian American, his people from Ghana. He actually came from, this was the opening weekend for the lynching memorial and the, I guess, Slavery Museum, Jim Crow Museum, what they got down there in Montgomery. Y'all should check it out. Shout out to Brian Stevenson, Just Mercy. Michael B. Jordan played him in Just Mercy. Did his ego good to have Michael B. Jordan play him in a feature-length movie. But I met this brother from Oklahoma. He was studying to become a medical doctor, first generation American. His folks were from Ghana, and he basically had a major test that week. But he told his professor, "I got to do a makeup because I can't miss this historic opportunity to be down there for the opening weekend of this lynching memorial." And so his professor let him go. And so we had this amazing talk. I wish I would have recorded it at the memorial. And he talked about how his parents were putting down Black Americans. They thought we were lazy, we were wasting our opportunities, we didn't really understand what we had here. And then he had to correct his parents. This is first generation Americans. He said, "Look, mom and dad, y'all came on here voluntarily. They were forced over here. They were demeaned and dehumanized. And like I said, you know your mother tongue. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, people that voluntarily come to America, they should know their culture. They know their tongue, their native tongue, their mother tongue. We were not allowed the privilege of really embracing our identity, regardless of where you think we came from. We were robbed of our true identity. And that's why there's a lot of confusion right now. So the fact that the first generation American stood up to his immigrant parents is voluntary immigrant, you know, they didn't come on here and forced on a good ship Jesus. They came on here as voluntary immigrants, and I guess they naturalized citizens. But people are always shitting on Black Americans, and we shit on ourselves because we don't even understand how effed up we've been over by this whole experiment, by this social experiment known as America, where everybody has benefited from our pain, our grief, our blood, sweat, and tears. Everybody has benefited from that to the fullest except for us. And we always trying to look for an ally instead of being a friend to ourselves. Instead of getting to know me, myself, and I, you always want somebody else on the outside to tell you who you are, to validate you, to be your friend. And nobody our friend if we not our friends. If we don't trust ourselves, you can't trust nobody. You can't trust your own intuition, your own instincts, your own discernment. If you can't do that, you can't trust nobody. Hey, King BJ, hello, brother. Y'all, you been busy. I don't know. You got a lot of energy, my man. I be struggling. It's so much stuff I want to do. I just be tired, and I do stuff. But yeah. Did you believe what Dick Gregory? Yeah, they don't. It just don't. It's like critical thinking is not taught anymore. Period. It's like they don't want you to think. They just want you to just be controlled and do what they tell you to do. You think about, I remember seeing one of Rosa Parks' marathon funerals. You know, she had a classmate who worked with her, I think, on the Montgomery Improvement Association. I forgot her name, but she said when her and Rosa were classmates, right? They went to a school full of nuns from the north. You know, these nuns, I guess they went to a Catholic school. They said one thing they taught us was critical thinking. So even having a thought that's independent thought, that's a critical thought, is may become illegal very soon. Doesn't even think for yourself, to do research, to have a counter opinion to the official narrative. It's about to become illegal. I remember my grandfather, my maternal grandfather. He was a World War II veteran, part of the legendary Red Ball Express. I don't know if he completed. He's from Mississippi. He was from Como, Mississippi. I don't know if he completed high school. He was drafted into the military for World War II, but he was well read. You know, he read the newspaper every day. And when I talked to him later, I was surprised that he knew certain things. I was surprised he knew who Langston Hughes was and Richard Wright, because he didn't go no college. Also, he was a certified tailor. Well, I thought it was interesting growing up because he could sew better than my grandma could. And I understand he went to tailor school. He could make suits and stuff like that, but he was 100% disabled from the war. He got hurt real bad during the war. He also was a very talented baseball player. Like, you had professional scouts looking at him during World War II. He met a white man who was a pitcher in the major leagues, and he put in good word for him. And he supposed to had a tryouts for with the Kansas City Monarchs. But he got hurt real bad during the Battle of the Bulge. So they did no dreams of a baseball career. That's all evaporated when he got hurt during the Battle of the Bulge during World War II. That's a vicious battle, right? Grandfather was an interesting person, but yeah, he was real red, man. I mean, he kept up with stuff. It was funny sometimes he talk about his experiences in World War II, like going out to L.A., Los Angeles to Central Avenue in South L.A., South Central L.A. You know, Central Avenue was kind of like Bill Street or like Harlem out west. Kind of like Central Avenue was what Bill Street was in Memphis. It's kind of like what Harlem was in New York. It was a mecca of black entertainment. You know, he had all these great clubs. He had the Dunbar Hotel, all these great clubs. He said that's the first time he heard like Lester Young, I think Coleman Hawkins. Because at the end, towards his life, I always had to remind him that Coleman Hawkins was dead. He said, "You dead, fella? He dead when he died." So he died in 1969, granddaddy. Oh, fella. Peace, brother Bug. Selton, thank you for checking in. But the thing about it is that I'm getting on to a tangent, but the most important thing that we got to think about is be critical in our thinking. Like you look at these so-called justice movements, nonprofits, whatever. You know, like you look at the medical industry complex. There is no money in the cure. To solve a problem is to stop the cash flow. To solve a problem is to stop the cash flow. It's like they probably could build a car. They can run on water and can last for 50 years, but they won't do it because it hurt the mechanics. It hurt everybody else, the parts suppliers and all that stuff. So there's everything. The game is rigged. Everything is a hustle. Everything is this and that. And nothing is what it seems to be. Y'all keep on thinking like, you know, when I hear black people talking about when we want justice, we can't give you no justice, but we'll give you the bag. We'll let this cop walk, but we'll give you this $27 million settlement. How about that? We can't do justice, but we can do trade-offs, right? Let's make a deal. But justice is off the table. Justice is because we can't give you justice. Our system does not work on equality and equity and justice. It doesn't work on that. It's like Joe Kennedy, the patriarch of the Kennedy family, said, it's only a crime if you get caught. It's only a crime if you get caught. And Joe Kennedy was the first chairman of the Security Exchange Commission. He was appointed by FDR before he became the ambassador to England under FDR. And FDR people said, why would you appoint Joe Kennedy as the chairman of the SEC when he was a major inside trader? Like he made a killing off of the stock market crash, right? And FDR told his people, it takes a crook to catch a crook. Just like you had Mnuchin, that was Trump's Secretary of Treasury. He should have been doing time in Club Fed. And he was the Secretary of Treasury, but because, you know, he knew how to run the wicked system. So my thing is, black folks, we got confusion because we keep on begging the devil for mercy when the devil's only qualified to give us more hell. I don't know when the hell we're going to figure that one out as a people. They can't give you no justice. And so you wasting your time marching, begging, and singing. We know what needs to be done, but we are afraid of our true power. As a people, I'm not talking about individuals, I'm talking about as a group, we are afraid of our own power. It's like when I go back to antebellum, right? The story was all disjointed. I saw what they were trying to do. They could have executed it better. They didn't know it was going to be a horror movie or a comedy or a girls trip comedy. I don't know what they were doing. Because they had Gabby Sidibe. She did a great job for what she was there for, but you know, they really wasted her. They wasted so many characters. They didn't give us no backstories on a lot of this stuff. But the thing about it is, when I thought about the movie, I'm saying this stuff could still be happening today. We don't even know it. Like Bobby Dick Gregory talk about missing black men, right? I remember Bob Dick Gregory was talking about, you know, he showed me these articles, Los Angeles Times, about there were thousands of black people missing from the Rodney King riots, right? From the LA riots in 92. The sheriff department could not account for the thousands of black people that were missing. They said they made an error They said, oh, they're not missing. We just made a clerical error or something like that. But you got black folks that's missing. People go missing all the time. Where do these people go? It's like you look at Katrina, the aftermath of Hurricane FEMA. You sending folks from New Orleans that been in New Orleans all their life, they've been in Ninth Ward all their life. You send them to Oregon, you send them to Utah, you send them out the state. They never been outside the state, let alone outside their ward or their city or whatever. So what is that all about? What is it all about? So, I mean, anything's possible. Hey, G Boot, what's up, man? Yeah, Ida B. Wells. You know, there's so many people, man, that we got a lot of mothers of the movement that we don't really talk about, or we don't know about. And Ida B. Wells definitely one, but there's some other ones that I'll talk about in the upcoming shows as well that we need to pay more attention to, because I know the problem with us is, as a people, we still looking for the chosen one, still looking for a savior, and you the chosen one, you the savior. If you don't know who you are, then you lost. You will never be saved. You don't understand or understand who you are. You are the savior. You are the chosen one. Nobody can save you but you. And I think people I realize that now I'm not in the business. I'm not here to save anybody. I'm just here to share what I know with people that are willing to receive. A lot of people get it twisted. They think that I post something, people say, well, everybody gonna get that. Everybody gonna understand. I said, oh, I don't care. This is like Baba Dick Gregory said, my truth does not need to be validated by your ignorance. I'm not interested in you seeing the way I see it. I'm just showing you my vision. I'm just sharing what I see through my magic glasses with you all. I'm not interested in you co-signing what I'm doing. Only folks with bad credit need co-signers. When it comes to what I'm doing with the stuff that I do, I don't need no co-signer. I just do what I do. What you need to do is do the research and come to your own conclusions. Like the brother wrote me the email about the Negro Leagues. He did not disprove what I said about it being successful. Really did not disprove it. You talk about a book, but people lie. You know, where they keep lies at in the library. Where they keep the lies in the book. You know, so just because it's written down don't mean it's the gospel truth. And just because it's the gospel truth don't mean it's the truth. You understand? So we are here. And I know another thing people talking about with the Aretha Franklin docudrama series, National Geographic, the portrayal of how her father, C.L. Franklin, is portrayed in the series. I haven't seen it yet, but it's controversial. But he was a man. He was known as the $1 Million Voice. You know, Aretha folks are from Mississippi, like a lot of us are from. She was born in Memphis. You know, he was preaching in Memphis of a church. They said, if you can make it as a preacher in Memphis, you can make it anywhere. She said, Gab, you said someone went to Hawaii. Oh, that's interesting. Some of the Katrina survivors. But yet again, we don't, where's the institution to follow up on what happened to the black folks that got displaced? Whereas the organizations, we don't have any institutions or organizations that protect and promote the interests of black people. We don't. And you name one, and I'm gonna tell you why they ain't one. Okay. Think you gonna name me a real black institution in this system that is black first. You can't. And but with the Aretha Franklin's father, how he's portrayed in the show, you know, he died, I think it was comatose, right? At the end, he was a victim of a home invasion up in Detroit. You know, I remember when Aretha died, they kept on saying on the news, you know, Ray Charles, so-and-so wrote a book about Ray Charles, and Ray Charles said they used to have orgies and stuff. They used to have orgies at the church. They used to get old booty, 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 booty. I mean, people like that shit. You know what I'm saying? We so low vibrational. Not just black people, but people in general. It's like all this shit. It's like it's only a scandal if it's sex involved. You could kill people in nursing homes. You could kill people on the street, but it's only a scandal when there's sex. And it's only a scandal when it's heterosexual sex. And that's another story. I mean, it's crazy, but yeah, they kept on repeating what Ray Charles allegedly said to this about his biographer in his book about you go to church, I guess in particular C.L. Franklin's church, they had orgies and women with women, man with man, got out mixed. It was this big old go for all. And he was a widow. I believe he was widow. He never got married after Aretha's mom or something like that. But one of his girlfriends, longtime girlfriends, was Clara Ward, right? I think Clara Ward of the Ward sisters, great gospel singer. I heard she had a little thing. But these are people, though. What you expect people to be? We are all God's having a human experience. So it's going to be very dysfunctional and weird. For a lot of us, going to be put in situations that, sometimes we won't be proud of. So what is new? It's like people forget that the Vatican had orgies. They had whorehouses up in the Vatican. I mean, this stuff is nuns and priests, they all getting it in. You think about the movie Goodbye Uncle Tom or Farewell Uncle Tom. It's online. And they got a scene at the slave market where you got the nuns bound up all the little black boys. I wonder for what? They bound all the little black boys up. The nuns. It's the church doing this. So I don't know. I haven't seen, to be fair, I haven't seen the National Geographic Genius Aretha Franklin show yet. I'm looking at Picasso. I got through the first episode of Picasso's second season for Genius because you got Albert Einstein was the first, Picasso second, now Aretha's third, and that's pretty good company because she was a genius. And my thing about genius is not what people think a genius is what the genius think he or she is. To be a real genius is nothing just to be who you are. People are so afraid of being themselves. People lack a knowledge of self. But to be a genius, to be yourself, man, because that's how you make a contribution to the world. I don't think it will interfere with the new movie. I don't see how that's possible because, I do know, I would say this, is that they are promoting Cynthia's vehicle very heavy right now. Because I guess it's out right now. And Jay Hud's or Jennifer Hudson's movie haven't came out. But I remember seeing the trailer last year. I know a lot of things been postponed because of COVID, whatever. But there's enough money for everything. I mean, I don't believe in, you only have one movie out at one time about the same subject. There's enough, there's an audience for anything Aretha related, period. My thing is it going to be well done? And I don't even have the expectations for neither the Genius thing or the Jennifer Hudson thing. I have no expectation what I'm supposed to see. I know that's the best way to view these movies right now because a lot of them, they don't know how to tell stories that well. I don't know what it is. They do not tell the stories like they should tell them. And I will tell you what, I mean, one time I was surprised, right? Whatever you may think about that biopic, the NWA one straight out of Compton, that was pretty damn good for what it was. It was flawed. It didn't include everything. It's all about perspective. It's politics. That's anything. But it was well made for what it was. It was well made. I think it was cast well. But the thing about it left out people too. Like, people talking about Salt and Pepper leaving out DJ Spinnerella. They left out a lot of people in NWA thing. My thing is, I don't believe that any of these movies should be the definitive version of whatever the story is. I think there's room for a lot of other different versions of the story to be made. I think that we should not neglect that there are other tools at our disposal to get these stories out. There's so many stories that need to be told. They shouldn't have to wait 20 or 30 years to get told. It shouldn't have to wait 20 to 30 years to tell these stories. I mean, the ratings have dropped. I don't even look at the Grammys, man. I don't know why black folks still care about the Grammys in 2021. I don't know when the last time I actually looked at the Grammys. It's been years. The only award show I would really look at will be the Oscars. I'll look at that more than any other award. I don't know why. I think because I think that it's interesting how the Oscars is really weird to me that Avatar, the most successful movie of all time, did not win movie of the year, but the guy who created Avatar, his ex-wife won. Well, she won movie of the year and best director. That's his ex-wife, James Cameron. Ex-wife won movie of the year for Hurt Locker, I believe, and best director. And she's I think she's a lesbian now. I think Hollywood got a thing against James Cameron. This is me. Okay, MLK. I'm sure they're gonna include some raunchy sex scenes in that one about MLK, probably played by African. I think the best MLK I ever saw. Well, I would say this. I like Paul Winfield as MLK. You know, he's playing on 227. Paul Winfield. He was that great voice for the A&E show City Confidential. They did remake City Confidential. That was a great show on A&E, and Paul Winfield was the voice for that. But he's been an ancestor for a while now. But he did at the TV docudrama limited series MLK. He played MLK. I thought he did a great job. And I also like Jeffrey Wright. I thought that was interesting. It was like the Light Skin Brigade, you know, the boycott movie about the Montgomery Boys boycott. And they had Jeffrey Wright as MLK. And they had, you know, his wife actually played Coretta, and she played Coretta again in Selma. That's his wife. And I believe her folks Nigerian. And then they had Terrence Howard play Ralph Abernathy. I said light skin. That's a light skin version. This is the alternate universe MLK and Ralph Abernathy. How people be color struck. They gave me green eyes. Ralph Abernathy, they gave me modern. They gave me green eyes. Yeah, the MLK one. You know what? Another thing people talking about who killed Malcolm X, right? That Netflix docu series. And I'm friends with the brother online. I don't got no beef with him or nothing like that, but they didn't tell the whole story. It does not tell the whole story about what happened and how that happened to Malcolm on February 21st, 1965. There are things that could have been included that were left out. I know there were people that were interviewed, and their interviews were not even included in the final product, and they were there that day. And you know, but my thing is, just think for yourself. Like, you know, the thing about why would you trust the FBI about anything related to Dr. King? You know, if the gun that killed Dr. King could be traced back to the possession of the FBI, why would I trust the FBI about any so-called dirt they had on Dr. King? Why was this dirt not released during his time on the planet? When he won a Nobel Peace Prize, why not release it to the press? Then, because like the last 5 years of his life, the media, the so-called fake news media complex, did a hit job on his character. So, you know, in the last 5 years of Dr. King, read the newspaper articles about Dr. King, or the lack thereof of certain newspaper articles about the work he was doing and how they shaded Dr. King towards the last 5 years of his life. Well, when has Hollywood ever respected? See, it's like Dick Gregory. Y'all want to get respected by thugs and filth. Somebody get my Dick Gregory bag. Y'all think that getting recognized by the filth and the thugs is respect. If you understand that the entertainment industry in this country was made on exploiting and demeaning and degrading black people, then you wouldn't wonder why they chose that woman who has self-hate issues. If what she said is true, you know, and she feel like this is true about how she feel about her people or people of color or black Americans, that means she got some on her own self-hate issues, right? But this entertainment industry was built on exploiting, degrading, and demeaning black people. Now, it was a point in America. Think about it. You talk about how the world view black people. Who control our image that's been projected throughout the world? Who controls black folks' images that have been getting projected throughout the world for the last several decades? Any black person you could think of that's in control of how our image is portrayed throughout the world? And then you got to ask yourself, why is it so easy to find black folks that could collaborate with the so-called powers that be to portray us in such a poor light that's projected throughout the world? If you look at, y'all need to look at the African Grove Theater. Look at the African Grove Theater. That's the African Grove Theater. This theater was like in the early 19th century up in New York City. Like a black repertory theater. Black people playing black folks. putting them in dignified light, right? The actors of the African Grove Theater was New York City born free person, Ira Aldridge. Ira Aldridge as a brother. Soon as the white folks start coming around with the blackface, he said, I got to get the hell out of here. I'm going to Europe to play Shakespeare. I'm not doing this shucking and jiving bullshit. This man left his native America to spend the rest of his life in Europe, in particular, I believe Poland. He is considered one of the greatest Shakespearean actors of all time. His Othello is the standard for all Othellos to come. Okay, so he said, look, I'm not doing the cooning and buffooning. I'm leaving America. Look how many black celebrities do the cooning and buffooning for a blue check and a paycheck. And yet y'all call these folks leaders. They buffoons, man. They court jesters. And it's not no disrespect to black celebrities, but what I'm saying is they not even free. They are enslaved to the system. They are dependent on the system for their bread, just like we all are dependent on the system for our bread. See, I can't call another black person a coon because we all cooning. It's like cooning is like autism. It's on the spectrum. Some of us are more coons than others, but best believe we all cooning one way or the other. I don't know. I know y'all don't want to believe that, but I can't call another black person a coon. And here I am putting up with a system that don't respect me, paying taxes into a system that does not respect me, allowing this system to suck my lifeblood that does not respect me. I can't call no black person. I have seen interviews. I'm going to tell you, I have seen some interviews of Clarence Thomas that made me think of their brother in a different way. They're on YouTube. He was interviewed by Julian Bond for the University of Virginia. Then I think he was interviewed by the Library of Congress. It helped me to see that brother in a different way. I remember when I was a little kid and in the Clarence Thomas Supreme Court hearings was going on, right? Confirmation hearings, right? I remember Anita Hill, all that stuff. I was a kid. I remember like grown people, my family talking about this thing. You know, and Clarence said it was a high-tech lynching. I remember a lot of the black women that believed him. You know, you go, Bill Cosby, like you go now, it's different. You know, black people are different now than they were back in the early 90s, to a certain degree, to a lot of degrees, actually. But I'm saying, I heard sisters say, we know how they do our black men. We know, and you know, Clarence was from Georgia. I mean, he married to a white woman, a Bush cousin, all that stuff. But just listen to him in his own words. It's on YouTube. University of Virginia, Julian Bond interview he did from 2009, I think, and also Library of Congress. But he knows he's a black man. He's from Georgia, but he made choices. He didn't forget where he came from. He remembered very vividly how they treated his grandfather down in Georgia. He just chose. He chose to do something else. So, and I don't care for Roland Martin. I mean, I don't help. Look, I'll make it clear to y'all. You must be goddamn batshit crazy to believe that the people that finance your organization, the so-called black organization, whatever it may be, is going to allow you to liberate yourself from their paycheck, from their checks, and from their system. If y'all really believe that Tamika Mallory and my son is Sean King is like the white boy Rick of a social activist, a social justice movement. He's the white boy Rick. He white boy Rick of social justice. And y'all look up the movie White Boy Rick, or just Google up White Boy Rick to know what I'm talking about. He's a reverse white boy Rick. But even though white boy Rick knew he was white though. But anyway, none of these people, George Soros ain't interested in black folks getting free. The communists, Antifa, none of these people are interested in black folks getting free. Well, know why? Because black folks are not interested in black people getting free. How is it that you're gonna get ahead when you're okay? Like I look at Ferguson. Corey Bush, I don't know too much about the sister. Wish her all the best of luck and success, whatever she got to do. But they allow her to be a congresswoman when they killed D. Seals. They didn't allow Darren King D. Seals to live to be 30. But they'll allow Corey Bush to be congressperson for how many terms? Only God knows, or Soros knows, or whoever. Only Illuminati knows. But when a black man try to stand up for his people, for his community, as a hetero black man, you tend not to last too long in the race. But yet, you could take a little black boy, put a dress on him and call him a girl, and everybody want to believe it. What kind of world we live in where kids can tell you when they want to cut their penis off? They can tell you when they want to cut at 8 years old, 9 years old, that's normal. You won't let your kid decide if y'all gonna eat McDonald's or Burger King or Wendy's, but you let them decide they're gonna cut their penis off at 8. But it's a fascinating time we live in. I kind of zone out on things, man, because I'm going through some situations, dealing as far as my business and stuff like that. And I told people, look, man, Malcolm said by any means necessary. So I'm talking about the political process. I got some situation with a federal agency that I'm trying to get expedited or whatever, speeded up. It's been a while. It's been dragging. So somebody told me, well, why you reach out to that person? They're Republican. I said, because they my representative of my state. And I don't care if they're Republican or Democrat. If they supposed to serve the people, they need to be serving me because I pay taxes and I vote, so they need to be serving me. So I don't care if they're Republican or Novrican or Puerto Rican or Dominican. It doesn't make a difference. But we are so stuck on this Democratic plantation. I never seen a people so confused in my life as us. If you look at the history of the Democratic Party, it was started to prolong and to enforce slavery. They were known as the white man's party. Look at the things they did to undermine black progress, black solidarity, black self-determination. I know Republicans got their faults, but I'm looking at the Democrats right now because for some reason, black folks think that the Democrats got their best interests at heart. I don't know what it is about our people. I don't know. It's like what Judge Joe Brown said, it's time to become independent now. We tried the Republican. We started out with Republicans. We tried the Democrats. Now it's time to grow up and be in charge of our politics and make better choices for ourselves and for our future. And that's why I know we don't study the Ida B. Wellses. We don't study them. We don't. Because she told us what we need to do. We need to protect ourselves. We need to arm, self-defense, protect yourself. You look at our people, we confuse integration with assimilation. Assimilation and integration, two different things. But like Dr. King realized towards the end, when we integrate to a burning house, if you want to stay in the house while it burns, that's on you. And that's a foolish thing to do. It really is a very much foolish thing to do. But like activism, most of the work that needs to be done won't be seen on the Grammys, on YouTube, and on social media. A lot of stuff got to be done behind closed doors in the shadows. Y'all want to know who the leader is. Like, I don't give applause and much respect to the brother down in Albany, who's doing the thing with the school for the black boys, and got the school bus. He's 21. But y'all knew Fred Hampton was 21. What was he doing in Chicago? See, we applied. We let everybody know what this brother doing, where he at, and all this stuff. But do we support in terms of offering protection? Community, real community. A real community don't let people come in and violate them and exploit them. We don't have no black communities. We've got neighborhoods. Let's see. Yeah, but Democrats have done more damage though. I mean, the Republicans made their deal that the compromise of 1877 that destroyed the Reconstruction. They owe see this country owes us, man, but we got to come with the receipts, man. We got to start laying them out. Forget all this. Man, I just want them to give up their racist ways, and it's their system, man. And racism is not really about hate; it's about power. And people confuse white supremacy with racism. They two different things, not the same thing. He chose it, man. That was a choice. He a very smart dude. He knew what he was doing. That's my father, man. That's another story. My father chose. People choose. I don't do this, or they forgot where they come from. He knew where he came from. He didn't want to go back there. It's not that he forgot where he came from. He did not want to go back there. Time would tell, man. I don't see. I think it's like the Darren. What they do? Darren Jackson. I knew of him, but I was no follower. But it's funny to me how black folks always get disappointed when folks end up being human. When folks end up being human, black folks get so disappointed, excuse me. Why do you need another person to tell you what the fuck to do with your life? It's like when people join the military. A lot of folks join the military because they want somebody to tell them what to do, when to eat, sleep, and shit. That's what the military is about. You want somebody else to tell you when to eat, sleep, and shit. Because you don't know when to eat. You don't know how to choose. You know what I'm saying? Most people don't know what to do with themselves, right? Because how can you be a grown person, and be bored with life? Man, I'm grown. I got so much stuff going on. I don't see how nobody can be bored. I don't have enough hours in a day. Get this plug. But people talking about they bored and they grown. How are you grown, a full grown person, and you're bored? Well, know why? Because you got the mind of a child in a state. No, I won't get a child. We are in a state of arrested development, but even a child would have some type of intellectual curiosity. But then again, the way they program our children, like they keep us like insane. Like, think about it. It is not natural for our children to sit in the place for 8 hours, so-called learning. That's not who we are as a people. That's not the best way to learn, to be sit down in front of a computer for 8 hours. That's the new reality, right? Learn is to interact with your environment, trial and error. But the dude in Albany, I would say this. When I heard about it, he succeeded when Dr. King failed in Albany. So y'all go back to when Dr. King tried to do his little movement in Albany. It failed because the powers and be did not buy into the BS. They said, we're not going to do anything to provoke Dr. King and them Niagaras. We're going to let them do what they do, but we're not going to show up for it. Look at the movement that Dr. King did in the Albany, right? But the brother down there, really, that's the best bet to do. Do things at the local level. Stop trying to let everybody know what you're doing nationally. Do things among your people in your community behind closed doors. Move like that. No need for a national movement. That's bullshit. Just do shit in your community. Find a way to share with like-minded people throughout the country and let them start their own thing. Everybody, because like people think that there was only one Black Wall Street. No, there was many, many, many Black Wall Streets. This is the one you know about, right? Because of the horrible thing that happened there almost 100 years ago this year, which will be in May. But I'm saying there were many, many Black Wall Streets. It's not one Black Wall Street. But I think that's a start, because you got to control your education. You got to control your economics. You got to control your food, especially days like this. I mean, never trust how your enemy views you. You look at propaganda, like you look at a country when a invader invades a country. One of the first things they do is take control of their media apparatus, so they can control the narrative, they can control the messaging. It's what they do. That's military science. One-on-one, you control their propaganda. So they could be winning, but if you control their media, they'll think they're losing. They'll give up, give out, and give in. And that's what I think with Black people. We let the white media control our stories. And I know Malcolm, I remember hearing the speech that Malcolm did. He said one thing he's very critical about the black media is that black media is more reactive than proactive, meaning that you wait for the white folks to put out something in their white media, and then you want to react to it instead of being ahead of the story or creating the story or breaking the story. And they got to follow your lead. So, I mean, you can't even trust black media now. Black media has been very compromised in terms of trying to secure the so-called bag. You know, there's no justice in the system when it's all about the bag, chasing the bag, getting the bag, securing the bag, all that stuff. And like I said, we don't need leaders right now. We don't need another hero. What Tina Turner said, we don't need another hero. We don't need no more heroes. We had enough. You need to be taking control of your own self. Like the paraphrase, I mean, I thought the brother Neely Fuller, Dr. Neely Fuller, brother Neely Fuller, whatever. You look at what he said, you are your own brand, your own organization. You as an individual, you got to create your own moral code, your own moral compass, the bylaws to your corporation. Stop worrying about trying to merge with people that are not in the same league as you. A lot of I don't want to work with all black people, so-called black people. I want to work with folks that I can work with. Y'all want to save everybody can't be saved. It's like right now, the day and age we're living in, I'm not interested in trying to save nobody. The only person I can save is myself. I gotta, take care of myself. I can't take care of nobody else if I don't take care of myself. But what I'm saying is, I'm not disappointed if you don't, agree with everything I'm saying. That's fine. I mean, you are human. I'm not disappointed if you don't follow me. That's fine. You shouldn't be following me. Don't please. I'll disappoint you. Cause trust me, I got some flaws. Because I'm human. It don't mean I'm flawed, but I'm a human. So I'm gonna think like when people think about Derek Jackson, whatever the cat name is, don't care about that stuff. I really don't. I don't care about Saweetie, whatever name, Quavo. I don't care about that. Ain't my business. People, NBA young boy getting tackled by the feds. That's his business. Ain't my business. I don't care. I wish the brother well. I hope it get resolved and all that. He's very talented. But what I'm saying is the stuff that y'all think is important, at the end of the day, it's not really that important, especially if you don't even care about yourself. Because even you look at this anti-Asian racism stuff, black folks can't be racist. And look at the history of how Asians have treated black folks in this country. Come on, man. Like you almost say, okay, if that's the case, it's the hate that the hate produced, right? Like that segment that Mike Wallace produced about the Nation of Islam. He called the hate produced, but I'm not really feeling that. I don't see that in day to day. I don't see that, man. What I see is like online videos, mostly of Asian people beating up black folks in their business establishment, in particular black women. But I don't think all Asians hate black people. I don't know. I doubt it though. There's some black folks that hate black people. Don't make them racist against black people. They just mean they're human. People got their reasons, their traumas for hating people, disliking people. A lot of times people dislike people. They can't tell you why they dislike them. They just been trained or brought into a certain culture, immersed in a certain type of culture of disliking certain type of people. A lot of times what I find out when you get to know a person's story or song, their culture, you can find some appreciation about anybody. You can find a kind thing to say about just about anybody in any group. Well, I don't. You are welcome, brother Christian. Thank you for listening. Well, I'm not really tired about it. It don't bother me. I don't see why it's important that we know everything about what's going on. Him and his wife needs counseling. It sounds like if they're gonna save their marriage, they may have to get some counseling. It shouldn't be telling everything on social media. Cause I mean, really, social media is a very toxic place for black people. God knows the stuff that that goes viral and all this stuff. A lot of our people, man, we're very low vibrate low vibrational feelings. A lot of our people are. You look at Aretha Franklin, great talent, but she had a thing. I mean, She had her ups and downs. They've been very well documented. You don't have to wait for no movie about with Jennifer Hudson to find out more about Aretha Franklin. Because you got the internet and you got books and documentary, got all this stuff. But she made a contribution. She made a contribution. It's like Billie Holiday went through a lot of crazy stuff, but she made a contribution. And I don't want to see nobody as a victim. If you was able to make an impactful contribution to the world before you left here, you're not a victim. You've been through some hell. You've been through some stuff, yes, but you're not a victim because you did your thing in spite of. You know what I'm saying? You did your movie. Your life is your movie. You the writer, director, producer. You choose your movie to be what you want it to be. That's everybody. It's not how you start, it's how you end, right? And I think Black folks, we too invested in this fantasy world because we've been hurt so much in the real one. We've been traumatized so much that we got this thing about consuming all this fantasy, and we're not even controlling the story. And that's the crazy thing about the fantasy. I can see if we were controlling it, but we allow other folks to dictate our fantasies. Therein lies the problem. And that's one of the reasons why you will always be disappointed when you allow other folks to tell you what you're supposed to like and think and feel. When you don't know what you like and think and feel, that's a problem. If you've been on this planet for a significant amount of time, you don't know what you like, think or feel or what you want, there's a problem. There's a problem. And my thing is, if we really study, like Ida Wells, you talking about activism. Ida Wells was lonely for a lot of the time she was active. No, she did the anti-lynching crusade. She did that for 12 years of her life. It was a lonely existence representing Black people. Because Black folks, they didn't care for Ida Wells, right? You look at when she was a school teacher in Memphis, she complained about the working conditions for teachers as well as students. She complained about the lack of resources for the students and teachers, as well as how the Black teachers were paid less than the white teachers. And guess who got her fired from her teaching position in Memphis? Black people. But white folks ran her out the South, right? But I mean, if she had backup, she wouldn't had to go, right? If we had a real community that supported our so-called frontline warriors, she would never had left Memphis, right? Or she could have, did on her own terms while being ran out of town. And thank God she was out of town because they would have lynched her more than likely because the things she wrote about the true nature of lynchings. It is interesting because even you look at Aretha Franklin, like I said, she's the queen of soul. You got Sam Cooke is the king of soul. They both a product of the Black church. Very powerful institution. I know PBS just did a series on the Black church. I have not looked at it. I think with Skip Gates involved in it or something. But the Black church has produced some phenomenal people. A lot of America owes a debt to the Black church. And why did the Black church exist in the first place? Because white folks didn't want to worship with Black people. Okay? So-called whites didn't want to worship with so-called Blacks. But look at the town. But then anything we produce is evil, right? Like our music, we rock and roll and blues and jazz, it's all evil. But white folks take it, it's like, it's good. It's mainstream. It's money. I remember when I got into college, I used to think that jazz came from white people because the way it was promoted, how they promoted it. I remember looking at commercials or movies where, you be at these nightclubs and they had the barrettes, or beret, whatever. What I got on, doing this shit right here, beatniks, all that stuff. I'm looking at Adobe Gillis and stuff like on TV Land. You thought they were white folks. It came from our people, man. It came out, Phil hollering, all that stuff out the church, out the whorehouses, whatever. It came from us, man. But anytime something comes from us, it's considered evil or not to be respected by the white man. Like go back to Dred Scott when Supreme Court Chief Justice Roger Taney said that your descendants have any rights that the white man is bound to respect any intellectual property. Yeah. Yeah, I had experience. I could tell in my early days. Yeah, you might know. It depends on what your household, man. You know, your people, musicians. I mean, like where you grow up, a lot of things, but a lot of people don't know. Cause like a lot of black folks don't know we created country music or even rock and roll. So I mean, but they all come out of us. But I'm just saying, well, we're not told this stuff. We have been denied knowing our birthright by design. So everybody come on here and make you feel inadequate as a Black American foundation or whatever you want to call yourself, native, because you didn't realize that you did all this. It's like when you look at even black folks coming from the West Indies or Jamaica, or, those places, they try to put down black people, and I didn't realize that Marcus Garvey, y'all shit. We made Marcus Garvey who he was. Y'all didn't make Marcus. He was born in Jamaica, but he was made in America. He was born in Jamaica, but he was made in America. We made him. They do love to co-opt everything. They don't create nothing. They bastardize. They the bastards of civilization. Black folks are creators of civilization. Yeah, we are. We create everything. Yes, we create everything. And but we got to teach these lessons, man, because we keep on looking. Like for example, I remember I had interviewed Dr. Frances Cress Welsing back in 2011. And I gave her a Lifetime Achievement Award, and I mailed it to her, and she mailed me back, a personal letter. I still got that letter. And she also sent me the code. She got her own code from her book, The ISIS Papers, Keys to the Colors. And I looked at that code, and I'm saying, and I remember I hear people say that get on code. I said, what's the code though? What code are you referring to? Are you talking about Dr. Frances Cress Welsing? Because if that's what you're talking about, then you're not a practitioner of the code as I see it, because you doing everything she tell you not to do. You calling black folks names and all this other stuff. You disrespecting black folks. You cursing black folks. Using the N-word and whatever. My thing is you create your own code. Like I go with the Neely Fuller School, that you are your own entity, your own corporation. You as that person, me, myself, and I. You got to create your bylaws, and you go by those. Don't let society dictate you what right or wrong is. You have that discernment already in you. You develop a relationship with your intuition, and you keep it moving. I mean, but it's fascinating because I keep on thinking, like I said, black folks, we are very childish when it comes to realizing what it takes to be free. We've got very childish misunderstanding of what it really takes, man. Because like my thing is, why are we proud to know that the things that Malcolm X talked about in terms of police terrorism is still relevant in 2021? We shouldn't have been beyond what they were doing, what was happening back in 61 or 65 by now. That means, like, when I look at Al Sharpton and them and company doing the march on Washington Ring every 5 years, what's the point of doing that? It didn't work the first time. Why are you repeating the losses? What worked was the Montgomery bus boycott. That actually worked. But we don't talk about the Montgomery bus boycott. We don't understand what the impact really was of the Montgomery bus boycott. Because our thing is, we just want to be white people at all costs. We just want to be around them at all costs and be at a loss. Because, like, they not losing, we losing. Because I think we have no code, because every group that has a code, they put their group first. Koreans are going to take care of Koreans first. Japanese are going to take care of Japanese first. Jews are going to take care of Jews first. Black folks say, we want to be fair. We want to help everybody. We want to be fair. I said, nah, it ain't about being fair. It's about being fair within your group. It's about taking care of your group first, and then everybody else can get taken care of later. And therein lies the problem. And like, you look at the Negro Leagues, they didn't, keep their records like they should, like the major leagues did. Even though major leagues full of shit, but at least they kept records. They took pride. They knew the importance of bookkeeping, accurate records and stuff like that, or making up stuff. But the fact that they kept, we don't take ourselves serious enough to really protect our work, protect our intellectual property, protect our business interests. We don't. You look at Chicago. No, Chicago's a gangster town, right? Chicago's a gangster town. And you look at policy. Well, y'all know what policy is, right? The numbers and the ghetto lottery. You had a brothers called the Jones brothers, right? They were the biggest policy kings in Chicago. And the white mob didn't understand how much money they were making, because they thought, oh, these niggas just having nickels and pennies and dimes. But those nickels and pennies and dimes add up to millions of dollars. And you have all these policy wheels in the black community around Chicago and Bronzeville, South Side known as Bronzeville, all that stuff. So Al Capone didn't worry about what the black folks were doing, their nickels and pennies and dimes. He thought it wasn't adding up too much, right? But one of the Jones brothers, the Jones brothers are interesting. They from Vicksburg. They from Vicksburg, Mississippi. Their daddy was a preacher. When the daddy died, mama got a lot of insurance money. So she invested that money into a jitney service, jitney cab. They had their own jitney cab service, right? They had their own, kind of like that was their Uber back in the day, right? So they made a fortune out of that. These brothers were, I want to say they all were Howard University educated brothers, and their wives was this beautiful, I guess, red bones. Like, I think they was on a Cotton Club chorus line and all that stuff. So they had some beauty. They had some trophy wives, and they were very well educated, and they were rolling the dough. So I think the oldest brother, Ed Jones, he went to jail or prison for the rest of the family. He took the rap for income tax invasion. The same thing that got Al Capone on. So he went to jail for income tax invasion. Ended up befriending Sam Giancana. Y'all know who Sam Giancana is, right? Chicago mob, Sam Giancana, the outfit, the one who helped fix the presidential election back in 1960 for Kennedy in Illinois. That's Sam Giancana. He was an up and coming mobster. So they befriending each other in prison, and Ed told them about all the money that they were making off of policy. And so when Sam got out, Ed, told him some more. I mean, he took him over to his apartment, had plush carpet, had expensive antiques. See, I'm saying that the Jones family, they had homes in Mexico and France. They were living well. They had homes all over the world. These are these black dudes from Chicago, by the way, of Vicksburg, Mississippi. So Sam Giancana said that's too much power for one nigga to have. He didn't think a black man should have that type of money and luxury. So what they did was they kidnapped Ed Jones, and his family had to pay a ransom. And Sam Giancana told him and his family, y'all got to leave town. Y'all all be dead. So they left town for good, right? So I think they ended up going to Mexico at their villa or whatever. But so the mob took over the policy wheel, with the exception of a few, like you had some holdouts. Like one of the Jones brothers' colleagues, a guy named Teddy Rowe. He was from Arkansas, by the way, of Louisiana, I believe. He looked white, but he was B1. He loved being a black man. He couldn't stand those Italians, man. Even though he could pass for white, he always lived as a black man, as a proud black man. And he would not allow Sam Giancana and his people to punk him off his policy wheel. So he engaged in a gang war for several years in Chicago. And one night, he actually killed Sam Giancana's best friend doing a so-called, it was pulled over. This guy named Fat Lenny Cafano. Now, Fat Lenny Cafano, Sam Giancana's best friend. Fat Lenny's brother was Marshall Cafano. He was the Las Vegas boss for the Chicago mob for years. He lived to be in his 90s. He died when he was almost 100 years old, Marshall Cafano. But his brother wasn't so lucky. And I believe Ted Rowe and his bodyguards, they found out what they were trying to do to him or do to Ted Rowe. And either Ted Rowe or his bodyguards shot Fat Lenny Cafano and he died. So they really pissed off Sam Giancana. So they were fighting in this war. He became known as the Robin Hood of Bronzeville. So with the policy wheels, a lot of them policy kings, them brothers, they were the bank for the black community. I get back to the Negro Leagues. They were the bank. Gus Greenlee was a policy king, the guy who created the Pittsburgh Crawfords. up in Pittsburgh, who built one of the first black-owned stadiums. He was a policy king guy in Pittsburgh. But I'm saying with the policy kings, they gave people money to start businesses, to get homes, took care of the sick, paid for people, birth bills, at the hospital. They really helped support the black community. So there was and the black folks thought this guy going against the white mob, man, he's like, oh, Robin Hood. So a lot of them still was betting money with Ted Rowe. But I believe what happened to Ted Rowe, because this was going on for several years, he found out that he had terminal cancer. So he just sent his bodyguards home, and on the night of August 4th, 1952, outside his home, he was ambushed by these white mobsters waiting for him, laying in wait, I think in the bushes or somewhere, but they was waiting for him to come out of his home. He had no bodyguard, and they shot him up. But he knew he was dying from cancer. I guess he wanted to go out in a blaze of glory, as they say. So he had a big funeral. But look up Teddy Rowe. That's Teddyroe. There's a book called Policy Kings, but I'm gonna find a picture of Ted Rowe. But this is why we gotta talk about our ancestors, man, because he took a stand. There's so much history, hidden colors. I guess he would have been part of hidden colors because you thought he was a white man the way he looked, See if I can find it. Yeah, thank y'all for tuning in. Like I said, I'll do a Negro League show. But like I said, and guess what? The Jones brothers, you know who they related to? Quincy Jones. Those his people. Jones brothers, Quincy Jones people. Quincy Jones people from Pittsburgh. I mean, not Pittsburgh, Vicksburg, Mississippi. He talks about it. But he says daddy was a gangster and all that stuff. Yeah, he talking about? Let me see. Yeah, but our history is amazing. I found the picture. Thank you, Five, for the donation. We love you madly. Thank you. I mean, I hope you have a great birthday, a birth year. Celebrate your new year. We love you madly. I'll show you a picture of Ted Rowe. Let's see. That's Ted Rowe. Like a white man. Yeah, but he was not afraid of them white mobsters, man. He was getting into it with Sam Giancana in his own nightclub. He said, fine. I think that's him right here, too. I think that's Ted Rowe right there, too. That's the Jones brothers right there. That's Quincy Jones people. I don't even got on there. Let's see. Show you the Jones brothers. These Quincy Jones people, the Jones brothers. That's Ed Jones, the one who befriended Sam Giancana, the one I got my little pointer thing on. There's George and McKissick Mac Jones. But that's the one that brought the whole house of cards down. Because you want to be friends with. I heard my thing is that they ain't like hiring dark-skinned black folks in top level positions. They trusted light-skinned black folks or even white people in their organization over black people in general. That's what I heard. I don't know what's true or not. See if I can find some stuff. It's Ed Jones again. Talk about Bronzeville. Just go online, man. Some powerful stuff, man. Our people history is better than a Hollywood movie. You told the truth. That's Ted Rowe. He like a white man, though. But he loved being a black man. He look at white. But anyway, that's who we are. Yep. That's who we are. But it's I think Policy Kings, a book, a brother from Chicago, a Chicago historian. He came out some years ago. It was a thick book, I think, called Policy Kings. Let me see if I can find it. I'll wrap it up. I don't know. I'm all over the place. Okay, I found it on Amazon. Let's see. Called Kings, the True Story of Chicago's Policy Kings and Numbers. It's about $45 paperback. Or maybe they got it yeah, it's got it in paperback. It's like 514 pages. Bronzeville Press. Written by brother Nathan Thompson. He a brother. It's called Kings, but he got basically the history. And it's better than Boardwalk Empire on HBO. And that was a disappointment to me. I thought it could have been better. You had the talent, but just like one of the things I wanted Boardwalk Empire to be more than what it was. It just never, but I did like some of the characters. I love Chalky White, the brother who played Chalky White, because he always playing them roles. But people would think, well, Chalky White, it don't even sound realistic. I said, yeah, you had some powerful black gangsters like that. You did. We just talking about the Jones brothers, right? Talking about Teddy Rowe. But my thing is that we got to tell those stories because they won't get told a lot of times because of the way things are. It's like you look at the Lone Ranger, Lone Ranger is based off a black man named Bass Reeves, who was in Fort Smith, Arkansas, Indian Territory, bringing all them fugitives back by himself. Even at the end, had to get his son, turn his son into the law, had to chase his son down, chase his son down after his son killed his own wife. Not his dead wife, but his son killed his wife. And so he had to chase his son down. You can make a movie about that in itself. He turned his own son in after his son killed his wife. Bass Reeves was a bad man, man. They did a movie about Bass Reeves recently. And the movie was not historically accurate at all. I think it's still on Amazon Prime, but they got his assistant as being a white man when it was a Native American that was his assistant. You think about the Lone Ranger with Tonto, right? Tonto. So he had his own Tonto. So black man had a Native American assisting him in bringing in these fugitives. Yeah. Thank you for smashing like. Yeah, but I'm saying, but you can't trust these Hollywood movies. They need to just tell the truth about who we are. But matter of fact, we need to learn the truth about who we are. We tell it to ourselves, right? I will always tell people to read some J.A. Rogers. I think people need to read J.A. Rogers. A lot of people say, well, some of his stuff ain't accurate. I said, shit. Who knows? You don't know. I mean, J.A. Rogers, I respect him. He was from I think he was from Jamaica. But he's just go around the world. He worked as a Pullman porter. He would just go around the world to Africa, to the pyramids, to the world's greatest museums, and find out all this hidden information about black people. See, he was hidden colors before there was a hidden colors. Before Tariq was even born, this dude was just crisscrossing the globe, getting all these black facts. Just look up some of his stuff. I know I discovered J.A. Rogers in college some 20-something years ago. And just love his stuff. You can find a lot of this stuff on Amazon. But one book I would tell you to read by J.A. Rogers, I'm gonna pull it up. Read anything, but here's stuff on Amazon, right? It's got the 100 amazing facts about the Negro with complete proof, a shortcut to the world history of the Negro, nature knows no color line, research into Negro ancestry in the white race. This is before Meghan Markle. Then the 5 Negro presidents, according to the white people, said they were. So I got all these books up here. I got the 100 amazing facts about the Negro, nature knows no color line, 5 Negro presidents, and also this is a great book right here, From Superman to Man. This could be a movie. So basically, it's I guess Pullman Porter having a conversation with this powerful white senator on a train. And the white man being impressed by this white man, about this black man who's a Pullman Porter. He thought it was just a nobody. Found out this man was probably smarter than him. But I think that's how it goes. But y'all correct me in the comments. I think that it's been like 20 years since I read From Superman to Man. And people say, well, Ron, some of that stuff been debunked, like with Warren G. Harding. You know, they say he was black. That was the first president that women were allowed to be able to vote back in 1920, right? Warren G. Harding from Ohio. But a lot of folks, even his enemies, say he was mixed, that he was mulatto, whatever. And I believe some of one of his relatives, they did a blood test, a DNA test, and they claim he wasn't black. I don't know. I don't trust the DNA test. I don't know. Because like when you start doing your ancestry tree and stuff like that, you don't like, okay, to me, what I learned when I researched my ancestry trees and stuff like that, is that you probably want to go through the woman line instead of the man's line, because the women, the baby came out of them, right? You don't know who the father all the time of the baby actually is. I'm just saying, if they had Maury Povich back in the day, you are not the father, Ebenezer. Delilah, he is not the father. Okay, but you don't know. But I'm saying, I think you could trust the woman line more, than the man line when it comes to that type of stuff. Because women be creeping, having babies with somebody else. You think that you the daddy. Brothers dealing with that right now. I got their names on birth certificates. They ain't even the biological of the child. They're still liable for the child support. So it's a fascinating time we're living in. Yeah, but J.A. Rogers is not a bad place to start. Cause it's hard, man. Cause like, it's like when I do the baseball presentation, you'll see what I'm talking about with how they try to do things. When they'll say, well, this is the first black Major League Baseball player. Well, I thought it was Moses Fleetwood Walker. No, man, it's Bud Fowler. But wait a minute, how he's the first? No, he's not. He's the first black professional baseball player, Bud Fowler. But Moses Fleetwood Walker is the first Major League professional black baseball player. Then they'll say a dude named this is what they do, man. This is why I think it's hilarious. They'll say a guy named William Edward White was the first black baseball player, even though on his birth certificate, he's listed as white. Even through life, he didn't claim black. He was listed, he claimed white. He was married to a white woman and had 3 white daughters. But he came out of Georgia. And his mother was the mistress, a slave mistress to his father, who was a white man. His mother was mixed. His father was a white, who was a wealthy person from Georgia. He went to Brown University. And they're trying, well, he's the first black baseball player. But how can he be the first black baseball player when he didn't claim himself to be black? He passed for white. So to me, to be the first black is to acknowledge that you are black. Then you say, because you got to think about it, was James Meredith the first black person to go to Ole Miss? Probably not. But I don't think James Meredith claimed he was black, because I think he claims Native American, like he's Choctaw or something. That's a different story. See, and he's still around. I need to interview him and get his thoughts on some things, especially about his identity, because I believe he claims Choctaw. He don't even claim black. But they say he was the first black to go to Ole Miss, right? But I promise you, I don't have to promise. I know that there were probably some people passing as white that were actually so-called black. But my thing is, they make up these rules, the 1-drop rule, people want to reinvent the wheel, people want to change the narrative. So it's interesting when we look at it. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. You can't trust that pop line. I know. Just look at the trees, man. Because I think Warren G. Harding, you know, somebody may not be his relative. They got the DNA sample from. They may not actually be related. So I don't know. It's interesting because he actually did have a mistress. His business partner, youngest daughter or younger daughter, had an interest in him. Like his business partner found out that his daughter was, had a big crush on Warren G. Harding. And I believe the business partner told him about it, said, "Can you talk my daughter out of having a crush on you? Like it's not realistic." He ended up screwing the daughter and knocking her up. I think that's what they said about Warren G. Harding. So he had a baby by somebody because people were thinking he had no child. He had a child. Then he died in office. They even said he had hookers at the White House. You know what I'm saying? Warren G. Harding. I don't know. They had the Teapot Dome scandal thing. All the president cabinets are corrupt. You got a lot of greedy folks in all these cabinets. So ain't nothing changed about president scandals. You know what I'm saying? Presidential scandals. But he died in office under questionable circumstance. Some people believe he was poisoned. But but I don't know. Closing it up. Okay, I'm gonna get out of here. Closing it up with Aretha or Ida B. Wells. Who y'all think would be a good person to play Ida B. Wells in a biopic? Who would be a good person to play Ida B. Wells in a biopic? I thought, let me see. I think about Tessa Thompson. Dear White People, Avengers. I think she'll make a great Ida B. Wells right now if they could get something done. I think Jordan Peele could do justice to Ida B. Wells. If Jordan, not people that work with Jordan Peele, but Jordan Peele, Mr. Get Out himself, can actually do a movie project concerning Ida B. Wells, because lynching is a horror story. It's a horror movie. Lynching is a Black people horror movie. You understand? So I think Tessa Thompson could put out Ida B. Wells. I don't really know about Warren G and his mom's situation. I don't know. I usually love Warren G growing up, his music and stuff. Regulate, Above the Rim soundtrack, one of the greatest soundtracks of all time, as far as I'm concerned. And also, who would make a good Aretha? I don't know. It's my mom, my sister believed that Fantasia could pull it off. And Fantasia probably could pull it off. I mean, she don't look like Aretha, but she got that. She could identify with Aretha, and she could sing and she could act. I mean, she did what you call that, Color Purple Broadway stuff. Somebody said Erykah Badu. Do Aretha? Yeah, people said they never know why I'm going live. I never know when I'm going live. Actually, it was impromptu, kind of like I know I was looking at everybody else going live, but it probably be better. I'll figure out a better way of working going forward. But so you said no, not Jennifer Hudson. Jennifer, I think she could pull it off. I mean, what I saw, why not? She could act and she could sing. She actually can identify with Aretha. Bob to my like, what will be some of y'all's picks for that? For example, I was looking at Judas and the Black Messiah, and the guy Daniel Kaluuya. I think he did a very good job for what he was able to do, with the role of Fred Hampton. But it would have been great if I could have saw maybe 15, 17 years ago, we could have had Mos Def playing Fred Hampton. I think Mos Def would have just been truly award winning. He could have really kind of like how Jamie Foxx did Ray Charles. I think he would have just did an amazing justice if you had Mos Def from like maybe 17 to 20 years ago play Fred Hampton. But it's tricky because as you see, they nominated both Lakeith Stanfield and Daniel Kaluuya for Best Supporting Actor for that same movie. So you can't even tell a straightforward Fred Hampton biopic in Hollywood. They won't allow it. know what I'm saying? Like y'all keep on thinking that these folks gonna allow a person to get on the Grammys in prime time to tell the truth and to inspire black folks to have an insurrection? Hell no. Robert F. Williams had to go to Canada, not Canada. He had to go to Cuba. They have his Radio Free Dixie show. They're talking about he was trying to inspire the black GIs, military men, to overthrow the American government while he in Cuba. And they were trying to block his signal back then. So it's kind of weird how people think about this stuff. No, there's a reason why Gil Scott Heron said the revolution won't be televised. They won't allow you on the airways to incite a riot or revolution. Yeah, most Def is underrated. Yeah. Hitchhiker Guide to the Galaxy, the movie did about the brother at John Hopkins who didn't get no credit for all that work he did with heart surgery. He did several movies that he did well in. I even like him in the Italian Job, Yeah, Yasmin Bey, yeah. I like Mos Def music, but he definitely would 16 blocks. Y'all keep on, see what I'm saying? I think Mos Def did a hell of a job as Fred Hampton. But it is what it is. But then, like, I look at, lost my train of thought, but I talk too much. But I'm thinking of something else. Yeah, I think like somebody agree with me with Jordan Peele doing a movie about lynching, and I would say they could do it. Hell, there's so many things with Ida B. Wells. She led such a fascinating life. My thing is this too. I like when you do a movie, I would just like to see a limited series by Ida B. Wells. I mean, yeah, I think you do a 2-hour, 3-hour movie, but there's just so much to that story that a lot of people don't know about Ida B. Wells. Is very fascinating. And could be more of an appreciation for her moving forward, But I'll say black people, that it's on us to do those type of stories, because if you probably talk to Steven Spielberg and you ask him what his favorite movie is, I bet I know the answer without knowing the answer. You know what I'm saying? It's a Schindler's List. Schindler's List is probably easily his favorite movie that he ever did. Not because it had the biggest budget or the biggest special effects, because it was a story that was near and dear to him about his people going through the Holocaust. This is a story he heard about growing up as a child. And so this means more than any other movie probably he ever did. Easily. But with black people, man, we, it's like, man, I remember I had the expectation for that Tupac movie. And it came out several years ago. It was disappointing. But to the average person, it wasn't disappointing. But to a person that's a big Tupac fan, it was disappointing. For that to be the first biopic in this, oh my God. Because to me, what Jamie Foxx did with Ray, that's the standard. That's the standard. He set a standard with that. And even before that, Malcolm X, Denzel, even though the script was flawed, the way Denzel manifested the spirit of Malcolm, he did a hell of a job. He should have won an Oscar. If you look at, they gave Ben Kingsley, Sir Ben Kingsley, an Oscar for Gundy, right? He should have got an Oscar for Malcolm. But what they give him an Oscar for? For Alonzo Harris, Dirty Cop, in Training Day. But then he did get an Oscar for Best Supporting for Glory. That's one of my favorite movies growing up, Glory. So, and Ray was good. But they waited years to do it. It took them years to get to the point to do the movie. I think the guy named Taylor Hackford, that was his magnum opus, whatever. So, and Ray Charles signed off on Jamie Foxx. He gave him his blessing. To me, I heard things like somebody said that Aretha Franklin was okay with Jennifer Hudson. I heard that Aretha wanted Halle Berry to play her. And folks scoffed at it. I said, because Aretha, she was very, very attractive. When she was young, she was very beautiful, majestic. She just had a look about her. So, I don't know, man. It's a movie, though. It's not about, movies are not meant to be like this revolutionary thing. It's not meant to be accurate. Like Picasso said, that art is allowed to make us realize truth. It's an interpretation of a person's life. It's not the actual life that was was led or lived. It's an interpretation, and everything's open to interpretation. Hello. Yeah, they wait for them to die so they, But you know what, Tina Turner, that's interesting. You say that. Uh, uh Tina Turner got a documentary. I don't know if it's out or whatever, talking about her PTSD from dealing with Ike and all this crap. And I'm like, man, come on, lady, stop it. Because like, I remember when my maternal grandmother's favorite movies was What's Love Got to Do with It. And you would think that Ike was the worst person who ever lived looking at that movie. And even from my understanding, Tina had to admit that they over exaggerated on how they portrayed Ike in the movie, Ike Turner in that movie. And, I had Judge Joe Brown on my show talking about Tina Ike. He grew up in L.A., so he knew Ike Turner, and Ike was on his TV show. Ike died in December 2007, if I say from cocaine overdose or something like that. But he got a bum rap because Ike was even Tina said they overdid it. Like things were embellished. Not saying that there were any abuse, but I think the abuse came in when he got messed up on drugs, because Ike was a teetotaler. He didn't do no drugs, stuff like that, from my understanding. Tina Turner family still loved Ike, and Tina kept his last name because Ike Turner was an innovator. He was a rock and roll god. He was one of the founding fathers of rock and roll. Ike Turner came from Clarksdale, Mississippi, same place that produced Sam Cooke and John Lee Hooker, people like that. And he was a talent scout for Sun Records. Arguably did the first rock and roll song, Rockin' 88, with Jackie Brinston and the Delta Cats. I revolutionized R&B. I think B.B. King, yes, that B.B. King said, I believe he said that Ike Turner was the greatest band leader he ever saw. That's how disciplined he was. Because from my understanding, if he caught you using drugs when not in his band, he would fire you. This at the beginning. He would fire you if he caught you using all this other stuff. So he was a disciplinarian. And I remember reading an article, I think the same around the time he died or passed away. They're talking about how white men from the industry, from the music industry, would approach Tina about leaving Ike and starting her own thing. And he said, no, I'm not doing that. Ike takes care of everything. He takes care of the booking, the rehearsals, my clothes, everything. I mean, I'm not leaving. And I believe Ike, once he got hooked up on drugs, he lost his grip on reality. And also, I believe that Ike was bipolar as well. Not making excuses, but I'm just trying to help put context in certain ways. So it was a give and take. I heard things about Tina. Judge Joe Brown talking about how Tina Turner would beat up on Ike in front of them. No, Tina was putting out some stuff too, and I heard Tina, she's from Nutbush, Tennessee. I heard Tina was hard on them hoes, man. That's what they say allegedly. That Tina was hard on women. But I don't know, man. It's interesting, but the thing about it that people still don't want to know the truth about Ike Turner and respect his contribution to American culture. I mean, yeah, he flawed, but all of them flawed. Elvis was flawed. Jerry Lee Lewis flawed. Everybody is human, man. I remember my mom some years ago saw Ike Turner at the rent-a-car place in Memphis, and she recognized him and she said, "Hello, how you doing?" He was surprised that I guess somebody recognized him, and she got an autograph from him. And I don't know, man. It's fascinating because Ike tried to tell his story. Now Ike did sign off on the movie. I think they paid him as a consultant or something like that. And he signed some stuff he didn't know what he was signing, or he didn't have a lawyer. I mean, he didn't know what he was signing when he signed it. And I know he tried to tell his story. He had a book, an autobiography that he wrote, that the distribution was blocked. They actually blackballed Ike Turner from telling his story. No, you always looking at it in the replay, in the archives. I know I want to talk about Ida B. Wells and Aretha, but I just went all over the place. Look, they hanged out together for better or for worse. She did her thing, he did his thing. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Um, I heard that was put in the movie, and like this. Just do some research on it and come to your own conclusion. Like I said, I don't trust a Hollywood movie. Movies are meant to entertain and to make money. They are distractions. Well, we'll see, man. Time will tell. If he assists me, I assist him. Yeah, Dreamgirl actually good. I remember when I saw that movie back in December. I think it was at 2006. And I told my mom, I said Eddie Murphy gonna be nominated for an Oscar. And I like Jennifer Hudson what she did, and Eddie messed that up when he came out that movie Norbit. Eddie is weird. It's not weird. Eddie's interesting. He got as many hits that he got. He got a lot of duds too. A lot of same dude that did Trading Places, Coming to America, Nutty Professor. Also did Pluto Nash, 1,000 Words. Eddie's interesting. I love it. Oh man. Yes, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for receiving. Well, think about this. She kept his last name. His name is powerful. Turner, that name, Ike Turner has a powerful name in the culture. Her family were close to Ike Turner to the day he died. They love Ike Turner. You had a person like Phil Spector, the one who killed that white lady in his mansion, that great producer, that Phil Spector, he spoke at Ike's funeral. And he said how they lied on Ike, how they misinterpret, how they character assassinated Ike. Like even Judge Joe Brown talked about how Ike had a organization to help abuse women, to get them out of domestic violence situations. So they didn't tell, and like I said, they blocked distribution of his autobiography. We are trying to tell his story from his side. He had powerful people in the industry that didn't want his story to be told. And even Tina admitted, that they overdid how they portrayed Ike in the movie. And the movie was good, right? Because we know more about Ike Turner as a character. We know more Ike Turner as Larry Fishburne instead of as the actual man. To look at the actual man's legacy is amazing, what he contributed to the culture. But if you go by the movie, you discredit or discount everything. It's like the movie Forrest Whitaker did, The Last King of Scotland, about Idi Amin. The way you view Idi Amin is to white people Western eyes, to the Western eyes of white people. It's like how we view Robert Mugabe, or the brother who just passed, the president of Tanzania. They make you think that these folks are crazy, that they are cannibals, that they eat their people and all this bullshit. Because anytime you stand up against the imperialistic powers, they're going to deal you a character blow. It's like with Dr. King, a man of peace. I mean, they working on trying to destroy his image after death. You got the dude that worked on the Who Killed Malcolm X Netflix series, not the brother, not the Muslim brother, but David Garrow, the white man who made a living, who made a name writing books about Dr. King, winning Pulitzer Prizes and stuff like that. Now he want to tear the man down based on some FBI files. They can't stand. It's like what Eddie Griffin said, a black man must always have an asterisk. You can't leave the business clean. Like even with Bill Cosby, when he died, they're going to put all this bullshit in there. Just make believe bullshit. They're going to try to use it as an albatross around his legacy, to try to discredit all the good things he contributed to society and to the culture. But if black folks don't say nothing, this stuff happens. Our silence means we agree with everything. We give consent to it. Just like with Deshaun Watson. This stuff is rigged. I mean, come on, man. It's not even about a crime. This is about money with Deshaun Watson. This is about, boy, you can't leave Texas unless we tell you to leave Texas, boy. This ain't about no women being sexually assaulted. This is a money grab. It's bullshit. But my thing is this: as a people, man, I just don't care about sports right now. I don't care about all this crap. Don't care about no black celebrity, man. The people tell me, they say stuff like, "Oh, Ron, you an agent?" How I'm an agent, nigga? I'm broke. I don't got no condominium or no mansion. Man, I've been doing this stuff for over 20 years, man. I've been I'll be 41 this year, but I really started like really being conscious of this, committing myself to this type of work for over half of my life. I've been doing this work. I don't got no money. I don't got a million followers. I don't got a million subscribers. I don't have, you know what I'm saying? I'm just doing this because I love black people. And I love to share information. And like, right now, like, man, my energy kind of lagging. I'm working out, I'm eating better, taking vitamins, but I've been doing it for so long. It's like, people say, well, no, you can't give up now. I said, bro, where was y'all at 10 years ago when I was 10 years younger and I was looking for y'all to help me? Now everybody want to do stuff. I'm like, well, I don't know. But, y'all do encourage me, like I see the chat room and get the messages and talk to people from time to time, get the support. No, man, that's why I said people don't know real activism. Real activism ain't gonna get you on BET Awards, on Grammys and shit. Get you cameos and people's songs. Ain't gonna get you all that. Not no real activism. Now, what's interesting, you talking about the rap. I mean, I think about Tamika Mallory and her doing the thing with little baby. Well, I got no problem with, but you think about Malcolm. Hip hop brought Malcolm back. Hip hop resurrected Malcolm. It wasn't the bootleg wanted Malcolm to be forgotten about. A lot of black folks didn't want to remember Malcolm. It was the young people looking for an honest voice in leadership who happened to be a dead man. They brought Malcolm back. I remember I talked to this great jazz musician named J.D. Paron. And I talked to him on the phone some years ago. And he was talking about how they did an opera for Malcolm X back in the 80s. And how a lot of the black bougie people didn't want to support it. They were going to boycott the company and everything. They wanted to say, man, if you do this opera on Malcolm, we're going to boycott and shut y'all stuff down. These are so-called educated black folks doing this to other black folks who are trying to uplift a grassroots leader. Like I said, I wish the brother best in Albany. I don't know too much about him. He's 21 years young. I got to put this in perspective. Some of y'all wish him ill. I don't wish him ill. I wish him much success, and if he's doing what he's supposed to be doing, let us make sure we provide him with the help and love and support that he need to succeed. Because when he succeed, our people succeed. I mean, he's 21. Think about what they took out Fred Hampton at 21. So he put a target on his back. You know what I'm saying? Like by him being out here speaking on this stuff. And I'm not in. And people say, "Well, look at Umar." I said, "I ain't gonna do that with y'all." Umar has a purpose too. Umar, my thing is stop putting anybody on a pedestal. Stop looking at leadership to be more perfect than you are. Or, stop looking for somebody to die for your sins. Y'all believe in Jesus or something. I thought Jesus died for your sins. Y'all trying to look for somebody to die for your sins, to be on that balcony by themselves, to be on that stage by themselves getting shot up. And then when they do that, it's like, it's decades later, we're going to commemorate their sacrifice every 5 years or so. We're going to keep on doing the same shit that got us stuck in this predicament every 5 years. So we are messed up as a people, but okay, I'm going to get out of here, but let me say this. How can someone having a human experience be placed on a pedestal? Well, how many people are actually living their lives? How many people are living lives of quiet desperation? How many people are voyeurs? A lot of people are voyeurs. Think about this social media experiment we are in now. A lot of folks like to, well, I be going out. I be meeting people. People tell me, man, I saw what you said on Facebook, or I watched your video. I said, damn, I don't hear from you though. I mean, you don't say anything. You don't like, you don't share. I don't know that you watching anything. Yeah, we're watching them, brother. We're watching everything. You got people majority of people they like to watch. They don't really want to participate. They don't want no skin in the game. But like the old saying, no guts, no glory. So yeah, you do put people on pedestals because you don't want to, do anything outside your comfort zone. Even though you might be in hell, you still comfortable in being in hell. Oh, okay. Oh, brother Shemaine. Well, I'm not, taking it personal, but I just want to explain. I just want to explain. I like what you man. Okay, I remember this girl, right? In college, it's 20 some years ago. And girl, I liked her. She was interesting. She was like mysterious, like an enigma. And she told me something. She said, Ron, do not put me on a pedestal. You don't know me. And I'm now naive. I don't know you, right? So when you put people on pedestals, it's like because you don't know too much about them. But once you find out they're human, then you won't be disappointed in them. Like I didn't know too much about Derek Jackson. Then they said, "Oh, he cheated." I said, "Oh, that's normal." My thing about cheating is when you cheat, it's not that you hurt somebody else more than you hurt yourself because you was not honest with yourself. Because if you're not honest with yourself, you can't be honest with nobody else. Like if you put somebody else in a relationship and you're not being who you really are with that person, and let the person know what your expectations are, and where you're coming from with it, then you cheated yourself. You cheated yourself. Well, I'm just a man. I appreciate y'all listening. I'm just a man. But I learned these lessons. I'll be 41. You know what I'm saying? Like I learned, like everybody else, wisdom is not cheap. Knowledge and wisdom, two different things, but they're not cheap to acquire. You pay a price for everything that you acquire. Um, but I just want to encourage people, man, stop looking to these people. These celebrities are no better than you and I. They're just people like us. They have their shortcomings and realize that a black celebrity, they always been compromised. It don't make them bad people, but everybody got a price. Some people prices are lower than others in terms of so-called securing the bag, but they really insecure in the long run. But thank you, brother John Williams. Appreciate your donation. We love you madly. You say you've been with me for 10 years. Oh, this is interesting. I'm trying to. Oh yeah, like that. Let me see. Black Lives Matter. L.A. You know that lady. What's the sister's name? Black Lives Matter. L.A. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna show y'all something. 'Cause I don't see nobody else talking about it. I'm getting out of here because I'm really just wandering all over the place. Uh, Black Lives. You know that. Trying to find person who runs Black Lives Matter. Cause I want to show you something. People talking about who people be and stuff because they really trying to drive our sister Tamir Rice's mother that shit crazy. You got to pray for her and keep her protected with righteous ancestors and universal God. Because like even if you didn't like what she said, how could you be mad at her for saying what she said? Because it came from a sincere place. I mean, she's been hurt. She lost her son. So how you think she benefit from her losing her son? Yeah, Melina Abdullah. That's the sister name. Okay. And the sister name Melina. I'm gonna show y'all something. Let's put a picture up here. I'm gonna show you a connection. So I mean, okay, that's a light skin brigade, right? But here's the thing. I'm gonna read a background about her so y'all can understand. Okay, read background. That's Melina Abdullah. She be coming on the fire, right? She was born September 18th, 1972 at East Oakland, California, U.S. Her father, John Raymond, was a union organizer and self-proclaimed Trotskyist. Her mother is Linda Fowler Blackston, and she was raised by O.G. Baba Blackston. Her paternal grandfather was Gunther Reimann, born Hans Steinig, a German Jewish Marxist economist and member of the Communist Party of Germany who opposed Adolf Hitler and the Third Reich. She graduated from Howard University. She earned a Bachelor's of Arts degree in African American Studies. She subsequently earned a master's degree and doctor degree in political science from the University of Southern California. Ryman changed her surname to Abdullah due to her marriage to filmmaker Phelan Abdullah, and kept the name after their divorce. So let me read that again. Her father, John Ryman, was a union organizer and self-proclaimed Trotskyist. So I'm assuming her father was white Jewish, right? Because his father was Gunther Reimann, born Hans Steinig, a German Jewish Marxist economist and member of the Communist Party of Germany who opposed Adolf Hitler and the Third Reich. So she like a Sean King type of person, right? Maybe, maybe not. But her grandfather lived to be 100 years old. He was born November 13th, 1904. He died February 5th, 2005. He was noted as founder and editor of International Reports, a New York-based weekly publication he created in 1947 and sold to the London Financial Times in 1983, and the author of The Vampire Economy that came out in 1939 about what he described as the onerous business policy of the National Socialist German Workers' Party and its disastrous effects on the German economy. That's the Nazis. Prior to World War II, Reimann was a member of the Communist Party of Germany and at the forefront of the underground resistance to Adolf Hitler within Nazi Germany. Okay, so she comes from a family of freedom fighters. She's Jewish. Okay, all right. I just thought nobody really talked about that as they talked about her background. Black Jewish lives matter, I guess, but it's interesting, but even she want to spin it on the sister like something's wrong with her, like she's being used by the state. She's not being used by the state. She's speaking the pain of a black mother pain. She's tired of being exploited by these people for ends that does not justify the means. Because black folks do not benefit from this black trauma porn if we're not moving forward. If we just keep going in circles every generation, we're not doing anything to help us get ahead. Yeah. So, I mean, thank you, WIP. We love you madly. But, but so, like, common sense would tell you they're never going to put no real freedom fighter. You think they would have put Darren King D. Seals on even the BET Awards or the Soul Train Awards? I'm talking about Darren King D. Seals, who got shot up and torched in his car in Ferguson, outside Ferguson, St. Louis in 2016. 29 years young. You think they'll let him go to Congress? You think he would have ran for Congress and be allowed to run and win? No, man. We got to get back to that type of resistance, man, because, I'm sure if Karen D. Seals lived 50-something years ago, he would have been a Panther. He would have been right up there with Fred Hampton and all them guys. But he the one that exposed Black Lives Matter LLC on the ground in Ferguson back in 2014, and he paid a price for it. He paid with his life. And our people, we do not do anything to avenge the death of our soldiers. We don't. We don't do anything. When Farrakhan did, I was at that march on Washington, Justice or Else. He should never said that, justice or else. Because it's been 6 years later, we still catching hell. Been almost 6 years later. We still catching hell. They still killing us. We killing ourselves. See, when you are about the rhetoric, nobody takes somebody seriously unless you're doing some action. You can talk all day long. But like I said, our problems as a people won't be solved by me doing this podcast or us being on YouTube or in social media. The most important work gotta be done at the local level behind closed doors. Like I'm gonna uplift that brother down in Albany. I'm gonna learn more about him. I may have him on the platform, but there's a lot of people. Once you put yourself out there, you attract all types of energy. There's a lot of folks that are envious of people who do right by the people. You know, a lot of folks that look like Ida B. Wells that couldn't stand Ida B. Wells. You know, you hear people in the black church that not very supportive. That were not very supportive of Aretha's choice to be a secular musician. Her father was supportive of her choice. He loved his daughter, but even like like I said, even when she died, I remember people keep on quoting Ray Charles in his book about how her father was having orgies and stuff. Now, some people believe that her father was the child. I mean, it was the father of her first child. I don't know. I know he had to leave Memphis because he allegedly got a girl pregnant in his church in Memphis. I'm not saying Farrakhan did say, but no, serve a purpose, but you chose to allow yourself to be saved. How about that? You was open to receive whatever information that was empowering. Yeah, it's sad, man. I don't know. My thing is like I remember when LeBron James act like he didn't know what the Tamir Rice stuff was about. And he's in Cleveland. He was when he was the Cleveland Cavaliers the second time around. He act like he had no idea what Tamir Rice thing was about. And his mom called him out, and she's been consistent. It's like with Eric Gardner's daughter. She was consistent in calling people out on their bullshit. And look, she's no longer here. Died of a broken heart. Died of a broken heart, man. And I don't know why we want to keep on having kids when we want to protect our interests. We want to protect our children, but we want to have kids. And we leave them to the wolves. And we act like this woman got so much to gain putting herself out there. She's in pain. She's in pain. So, I mean, man, I wish she didn't say it, but then I don't, tell me where she's wrong. People can say, well, she shouldn't say it like that. I said, how you supposed to say it? Y'all remember when John Crawford got killed in Walmart? Dave Chappelle talked about it in one of his stand-ups. I think it was the 846 one. He talking about the same cop that killed John Crawford. He interacted with the cop before all that went down. I guess it was a different. I'm not sure. Can't recall the whole thing. But I think because he knew who he was. It's kind of like if you Dave Chappelle, you kind of safe, so to speak. They might not be so quick to shoot you. Like you look at what happened to NBA YoungBoy this past week, right? This several days ago, where he was getting chased by the police out in Los Angeles by the FBI. They didn't kill him. They didn't shoot him down. They didn't shoot him. I mean, they knew who he was dealing with. They didn't kill NBA YoungBoy. He's in custody. I don't know. It's funny, man. It really is interesting. You start thinking about it, but the revolution won't be solved through a podcast. It won't start through a podcast. I'm sorry. And it's like with Nick Cannon. Dick Gregory had a lot of respect for Nick Cannon. They were close, whatever, and they don't like it. Everybody has a relationship with Dick Gregory. Like anybody, it's different. What I'm saying? I met Dick, connected with him last 6 years of his life. It might have been different for somebody who met Dick Gregory 40 or 50 years ago. They got a different understanding relationship, but that's with anybody. My thing is, you saw Nick, walk back to everything. He had Professor Griff on his show. My thing is this, you should have just had a disclaimer saying that the views of my guest does not represent my views or the views of this show, and they're not their future views. And my thing, I don't believe in no censorship. I don't believe in self-censorship. I had people on this show, on this platform, very opinionated, opinionated like nobody's business. You know what I'm talking, Dr. Randy Shorts and the Judge Joe Browns, especially the Dick Gregory's. I have had videos removed as it pertains to Judge Joe Brown and Dick Gregory a couple years ago, before all this stuff started really getting bad. So I'm not new to the censor police or the thought police, but at the same time, um, this is not for the weak. The work in terms of sharing information and speaking your mind and being your authentic self is not for the weak minded or the weak willed. I know Facebook this week, they suspended me going live for 30 days. I don't even go live on Facebook, but the fact that they suspended me over something I posted back in 2012, like they got me for something I posted in 2012. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's only a matter of time. All the stuff that I have posted over the years, y'all going back to 2012, man. And I appealed it. They said, well, it still violated our community guidelines, but y'all taking it out of context. I'm not up here endorsing the Klan. I'm an artist. I'm a creative. I'm a thinker. I don't want to be a part of the Klan. I just posted it, just to make it's just weird, man. This is like the Fourth Reich. But anyway, y'all take care of yourselves. I think I said enough. Like the words from Brother Herb, please spread the word. YouTube, we all be TV. We all be TV. Blood, sweat, and tears. Yes, indeed. Support the movement. Cash out R2C2H2. PayPal, Google Pay, Zelle, R2C2H2 at gmail.com. Vimo at R2C2H2. You could also buy Artivist art, R2C2H2.com. You can even wear Artivist art. Go to Teespring. Got my James Reese Europe Jazz Lieutenant shirt on. I like the shirt. Go to Teespring, shelf below the description box. You can access it from there. And like I said, I'm working on some more shows, but I just want to go live. I saw everybody else going live. And also, I just want to talk about some things. And I'm sorry that I'm all over the place. I think I talked something about Aretha Franklin and Ida B. Wells, right? Yeah. Feel all this stuff coming. Yeah, I kind of knew, man. Everything, all good things come to an end. Like, what happened? I really would think what happened was 2016, the election year, when they saw how alternative media had an effect on the voting public. All the stuff. I mean, because like that was a boom year for me, because it was unexpected, man. I didn't know how 2016 was gonna play out, but it was like a amazing year for me, from a personal and professional point of view. But then everything changed when they started shutting down really free speech on YouTube and social media. They had. I like that. We did influence the outcome of the election. The alternative media, that was too much power for us to have, so they started shutting people down. And I saw when they did the Alex Jones and what they tried to do to Minister Farrakhan, and people was applauding it. I said, this is not something that should be applauded, because I don't have to agree with everybody, but I still believe they have a right to say what they're going to say if they stand by it. I don't believe in censorship at all, because it has a boomerang effect. Censorship has a boomerang effect. I don't believe it at all. I don't care who's saying what they say. I don't have to listen to it. I don't have to support it, but they should have the right to say it should be protected. People getting a little bit too like weird with this whole thing about trying to control people's speech. Like I said, I try to make it a point to not self-censor myself and just let the chips fall where they may and be willing to accept the consequences. And so, yeah, it's been going, man. It's going to get worse because people really ain't interested in questioning stuff. Like I said, I have lost people that I love, man. And they made choices. And my thing is, we was joking. I was joking last year that they're gonna give us free chicken sandwiches to take the package. And y'all know what the package is. Now they're giving out free donuts. My thing is this: are you gonna live long enough to enjoy the whole year worth of donuts? I will. I'll receive that. Thank you, Sister Bell. We love you madly. And I know you responded to something I posted. People like I know people was into that Picasso quote. He said there are two type of women, goddesses and doormats, or doormats and goddesses. And I think you responded. You asked me on Instagram, like, why do so many goddesses get treated like doormats? My thing is, like, to paraphrase Eleanor Roosevelt, you can only make me feel inferior with my consent. How many people know who they really are? Value self, knowledge of self, love of self. So there your answer. If you don't know who you are and what you're worth, you get treated how you get treated because you allow that to happen. But thank y'all so much for tuning in and tuning out. In the words of Duke Ellington, we love you madly. But before I go, like I said, you got to have these disclaimers, right? It's an interesting life I lead. Disclaimer: the views expressed by hosts and guests on the We All Be TV platform are not the official views, opinions, beliefs, or perspectives of We All Be News or the We All Be Group Incorporated. We All Be News is an organization that thoroughly believes in supplementing the information narrative that is usually supplied by the corporate news entities with those viewpoints and expressions which may be marginalized or ignored for a plethora of reasons. We are about informing the general public on alternative perspectives as it relates to news and information, and letting the general public be the ultimate judge and decide on how to use said information. Informed citizens are responsible citizens. Thank you for your support. And thank y'all once again. Words Duke Ellington. We love you madly. Y'all keep on producing and pushing. Okay, it wasn't you. We'll go with that. Thank y'all. Appreciate it. Thank you for receiving, Brother Bug. We love you madly. We love you madly, Mama. Appreciate it. And there it is. Y'all take care.